y'all, and welcome in to another live stream right here on Erica Vane TV. This one is kind of like a redo for Reasonable Doubt Season 2. Now, in addition to talking about the finale, we're going to further unpack the entire Season 2. And there's a couple things that I did not actually get to and really focus on in my last live stream. So I definitely wanted to come to you guys today so that I can get those little points off, have this dialogue, and finish off the conversation before we put this show to bed, because we are definitely getting to season 3. We just don't know when. Hopefully we get into season 3, but I definitely wanted to make sure we had as well-rounded and as thorough of a conversation for this masterful season as we possibly could. And because I wanted to have as thorough of a conversation as possible, I had to make sure that I tapped my good sis, Allie Nick. How you doing, boo?
I am doing well. Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
I know y'all hear my voice, so for y'all who don't know me, you get to see what I look like. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yes. If you watch Sisters, then you know what Allie look like. But if you don't, then you are just now getting introduced to her. I'm really excited because we kind of unpacked this a little bit over the phone, and now we get to do it with everybody watching. And maybe sounding off and adding in. I love that for us. Drop your ratings still. Hey, Brittany. Also, that's another thing. I didn't get a chance to invite up people who typically would sound off. So once we get into the conversation and a little bit later, we're going to open up the line so that you guys can call in, because that's one of the things that I realized with the finale or the episode 10 live that I did last week. I didn't have anybody calling in how they typically would, and I definitely missed you guys. So we're going to do all of that right here, and y'all going to know exactly how I feel about this, not only the finale, but this episode. Now, Ellie, what did you rate the finale episode, and how did you feel about the season as a whole?
As a whole, I'm going to give season 2 a 10. And I'll get back to why. The season finale, I'm 9.5.
You said a what?
I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
9.5? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9.5. I thoroughly enjoyed the season finale for many reasons. I think the highlight for me was the conversation that Jax had with Damon.
Mm-hmm.
That was the highlight of the episode. However, there were many things that proved why I feel the way that I feel about Lewis. The reason why I have so much compassion for the character of Jax, why I even have compassion for her children, even though I know Spencer is a touchy subject. But, looking at the father that he comes from, I'm beginning to understand everybody a little bit more as to why they do the things that they do. But overall, season 2 was impeccable. I was like, y'all need to go ahead and film season 3 and 4 right now. Don't wait.
we need that now.
Go ahead and film it.
We need it right now. Stop playing with us and give it to us. Pretty please.
Period.
And thank you. Yeah, I would agree. Brittany says she gives it the finale a 7-ish, the season a 9. The Suburbia Jones Effects gives it a 9. Janelle says I will give the season an 8.5. Okay. Also, feel free to expound upon that, y'all. Let us know why you feel the way that you do, why you rated it, what you rated it. Let's start with the kids, because we tend to, or at least I tend to, I ain't gonna say we, this ain't France. I tend to overlook them up because they get on my nerves. And because Spencer was pushing it. Now, Naima, not necessarily so bad. I wish they would have given her a little bit more screen time. Can you talk to me about why you have empathy for the kids and your take on the children coming from the oak that are Jackson Stewart and Lewis?
I'll start with Naima first. This season, as you stated, I wish they would have given her a little bit more meat, because I feel like she is an actress who can carry it even though she's young. And we kind of see her in a protective mode with her brother when he got his devices taken away, and she allowed him to use her phone. And I was like, okay, that's kind of like the thing. I took at it as a characteristic that she took from her mother. And I'll get into that a little bit more in depth. I think that one of the things that I do love about Jax is that she tends to advocate for those who can't advocate for herself themselves. And I think that comes from the fact of what happened to her as a teenager and the fact
Mm-hmm.
that she had no one to advocate for her. And her daughter kind of in a little bit showed that with her brother. I mean, even though he deserved it, but I understood her still wanting to help.
Yeah.
With also with Naima, we had a moment where she truly expressed her heart to her father when she felt like nobody was really paying attention to her or she didn't matter. And his response was, "I'm sorry you feel that way." I had so much compassion for that girl in that moment because that's the last thing you want someone to tell you when you begin to express your vulnerability and transparency as a teenager. And the fact that she even had the words to use to verbalize that in such a real way, and for her father to combat that. And in addition, he said, my whole existence is, I think about you. It doesn't matter what you say. Your actions does not combat what your daughter is feeling. So I had like an enormous amount of compassion for her in that moment. With Spencer, I know he's not our favorite. I would say I had more compassion for Naima than him, but I understood kind of the way he acted when you are a teenager. A lot of times when one parent leaves the household, you tend to blame the parent who is present. You don't look at the fact that the other parent is the one who basically walked out and left the family. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of look at it like, Mom, what did you do to cause Pop not to be here? I know it's your fault. And it's only a certain amount of things you can really express to your children where you're not making the other parent look guilty or look like they are the problem. And I think that Jax did a great job with that, but I understood Spencer's perspective. Now, I probably would have popped him in the mouth a few times if I was Jax, but I understood why he may have felt the way that he felt, even when he wanted to express himself through the arts. It was interesting because Lewis has a gay brother who he seems like he loves, and the fact that he was so against his son expressing himself in that way. So you tend to kind of do things to make your dad believe, you're that guy or there's nothing wrong with you. And I felt my heart went out to him in that way. Even though it was small, it could mean a whole lot. So
Yeah, for
that's where my
sure.
compassion and sympathy came for the children. I
For
wish we would have
sure.
got more with both of them. But that's how I felt as far as my compassion level with the children.
I mean, I could totally see us in season 3 getting more into whatever's happening in Naima's mind and then ultimately playing out within her life. So I'm looking forward to that because we have spent so much time getting, and not so much time because they are side characters, but we have spent quite a bit of time getting to know what Spencer wants, how Spencer feels, and they never have him like shy away from showing it. And not that I need Naima to act out in similar ways, but I, again, like you said, of her being a really interesting young actress who could carry some very important, pivotal, emotional beats. I would love to see them further explore that. I think the thing that's untapped with the children for this show is them actually allowing us to see how the actions of the parent actually play out in the lives of the children, aside from us fully like being immersed in Spencer's resentment of Jackson season 2, and then Lewis's misstep with like the gay comment in season 1, his resentment of Jackson, in season 2, Lewis's gay comment. We don't really get to see exactly how um the potential divorce, the separation, and then now the reconciliation, how it landed on the kids and how it has maybe even shifted them as people, as the things that your parents do in your younger years tends to do, right? Like I feel like this is the perfect, and perfect is such a interesting word to use, but I don't have another one. I think that this is the perfect place to show where childhood trauma starts and like how the seeds of that get planted, and then you ultimately as a child, as you go older, have to deal with certain things. And maybe we haven't had enough time because they had so much going on this season, but we just haven't gotten that by way of the kids POV, which I feel like could be a really great way to enrich the show.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's such a huge. Just the show is impeccable, but I believe because they have two children, I would like to see them have more of a stake when it comes to, as you stated, the actions of the parents and how that truly affects them. You have Spencer in this, performing arts school. You have Naima, who kind of have, drifted to be like in the background. I hope in season 3 we do get an opportunity to see that, because even in season 2, Spencer was acutely aware that his parents were having issues.
Yeah.
He couldn't really, verbalize exactly what was going on, but he knew something was going on. Pop sleeping on the couch. Mom is crying, so he knew something was going on, and they kind of, do what parents do in the sense of, protecting the children. But these children are not oblivious, nor are they blind, so they're able to see. So I hope in season 3 we do get a little bit more with the children and the impact that their parents are having on their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, I totally can see for Naima specifically, like this this daddy wound, while Lewis is there and he might be seemingly more active than what people would dub like a deadbeat dad, that doesn't mean that how he is manifesting, how he is actualizing in the space is actually serving his daughter. So I do think that Naima's daddy wound could definitely get bigger, to the point of like what you were saying about, she made a point of feeling invisible and he's like, I'm sorry that you feel this way. That is in and of itself, it's like, you're not teaching them how to actually apologize, and in the apology, take responsibility for your action in the hurt that was delivered. Cool. Then you think that just your presence is the thing, but it's not just your presence, it's intention with your presence of like you actually being interested in it. For you and Spencer, y'all are both boys and he is your baby boy. So there's a certain gravity that comes with that makes you, that gives you like this innate drive to be interested in whatever the hell he got going on, so much so that you went and found another school for him to find safety and comfort and express himself with. You're going to have to, because you don't have that naturally for Naima, you're going to have to find a way to cultivate that and then be able to deliver that. But if you stop short at, oh, I'm sorry you feel this way and I'll be around more, and like now we can maybe take more car rides and go to the mall, you're still missing it. So she's growing up with the father but then without a father. And that to me is like a
Mm.
great segue into what I feel like is the most masterful stuff of this show, is that we're tackling really great topics and then touching on and introducing different things, but it's that minutia underneath of the story that to me is the strongest thing about the whole entire Reasonable Doubt world. Because I could imagine people who are listening right now, it's like, how is she growing up without a father and Lewis is there? I just outlined it for you.
That is, that was a word that hit me, because explaining that is explaining how my mom grew up. My grandparents were married for, I believe, 65 years before my grandmother passed away. It's six
Mm,
siblings, and my mom is the baby. And her father, my grandfather, was in the house all the time. He was present. He was present, but she didn't have a dad. So there are
mm,
so many people who grow up like that, and I think like what you said is so powerful, because those are the misses that need to be expressed, explored, and exposed. That this happens a lot in the Black community, where you can have a father present, but he's not fathering. And unfortunately, a lot of people believe, well, she grew up with both of her parents. She grew up with them living in the household, but her mother was the parent. And
mm-hmm.
so that is unfortunately, that is something that plagues a lot of Black families, a lot of Black households, and a lot of people just don't discuss it,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. And I think this is a really great point for me to just make it known of the critique that I offer is, and I believe Allie does too, so I'll speak for her as well. It's not to say that this show is bad because this is missing. It is to point out like this is where we can go deeper. This is where we can like further explore. So like don't hear what we're saying and like, oh, because they didn't do this season that the show is bad, because it's really a phenomenal show. And I love that we're even able to unearth topics like this because of what they put on the screen for us to enjoy. But piggybacking off of the daddy's there, but he's not actually there, I think that this is just one of the very many tunnels into the cavern underneath the earth of the good person, the good guy, the good girl, and the person who is doing the things that they're supposed to do, and they are where they are supposed to be, but they are not actually present. They are not actually intentional. They're not actually full of effort. Like, it's almost like a shell there, like completing the obligation, but you don't really get the benefits of what this is supposed to be because it's not actually that. What's your thoughts on that, Ellie?
That is That is a word. It's almost like, having a job. You go to your job, the end result is, be there 40 hours a week, you're gonna get this paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So I can go to work and I can get the 40 hours, but I can give you a lackluster performance. I can give you just what I'm gonna give you because I know at the end of the day, I'm
I'm gonna
gonna get
still
this
get
money over
paid.
here. So I
Mm-hmm.
am and still get paid. So I'm doing the obligation. However, my performance is lackluster, or, depending upon what you do, you can literally be in a space, in a cubicle, in an office for 8 hours and do nothing and still reap the reward of performing. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's what Lewis is doing. Yeah, son, yeah, homie, you there, and you're reaping a reward of having sex with your wife when you want to, having her, compromise the things that she wants for you. So you there, your performance is lackluster. However, you're still reaping the benefits of being a full time employee, and you're not that.
Mm.
Sorry, not sorry.
Listen.
Sorry, not sorry.
So I guess we can go on into Lewis and get him out the way. Because that's one of the things of why I wanted to redo this live stream, because I felt like I spent so much time defending my dislike for Lewis versus fully unpacking the character, and even that particular point, right? Like, I didn't get to a place where I could even make the correlation between him not being a fully present father and then also not being present within his marriage. He's doing just enough to occupy the space, but not enough to serve the people who actually need him in those roles. Ooh.
Yes, ma'am.
That one felt like a word. Um
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
and y'all gotta bear with me. It has been a very emotional day for me in life. So, like, then for me to even come to this show, which is evoking certain emotions from me, it's just like, But I think that is my main takeaway about the Lewis character. And I don't know all of the ways I need to figure out how to say it to not necessarily convince, but to clarify so that there's information available, new information available for people to consume that actually helps them potentially shift an idea that hurts them. I think that too many women are indoctrinated into this belief, in at least in heterosexuality, and specifically Black men leading our homes and leading our communities and just leading us in general, that good enough is good, and it's not. Good enough has led us to where we are. Good enough has created marriages, relationships, situationships where women have to fight internal battles to consistently validate themselves, to see themselves, to really maintain any type of self-worth, while also externally excelling amazingly, which is weird. It just creates this ridiculous dissonance where externally you're going above and beyond as this overachiever and this excellent person out about in the world doing all these great things. But then because you're trapped in a cycle or within environment to a good man who doesn't necessarily see your value or is intimidated by your value, now you have to play it down. Now you have to compromise, and it just creates like this internal battle, which creates this dissonance between what's outside and what's inside, and it's not fair. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to those who love you. It's not fair to those who benefit from you operating at your highest best self. It's not even fair to them being in relation to you, because they don't even get the full effect of being in relation with you. What's your thoughts on that, Ellie?
I I agree 100%. As you were speaking, I remember it made me think about what this pastor told me one time. And there was a guy, I'm not gonna say I was interested in, but I had a dream about him, and I felt like God was showing me that he was my husband.
Mm.
So it was my pastor at the time, and I, confided in her about the dream that I had because it was so real. And she basically, now I am a leader in the ministry, I'm a teacher in the ministry, like all of these things. This guy is doing nothing but just coming. So what she told me was, oh well, he's already prepared as a husband because he's a man. It's you who has to get ready, who has to
Oh
prepare
my
yourself.
Lanta.
He's already formed and fashioned to be a husband. And I remember looking at her like, you have lost your mind. Now, I know the type of marriage that she had. I didn't know the ins and outs, but I knew enough because she and I were very close. And I'm like, and you have all the audacity to say that to me when I know this man, as you stated, if I would have operated on my flesh and what I desired, if I would have connected with him in a romantic way, it would have been a situation where I would have had to deal with this man being intimidated because I'm a strong black woman. I understand what my belief system is and I stand on it fully. And I have to deal with somebody who is wayward and unstable. So it's already going to be a conflict within our union because he's not where he needs to be to even deal with someone like me. He's just not.
Mm.
But I thought it was so interesting how she said he was already where he needed to be. It was me who needed to play catch up. And that's the attitude I get from Lewis. Like, I'm where I need to be with Jax. She's the one that needs to come to my level. And to me, that's how he portrayed himself. Like, you're just taking up this space. I'm just patiently waiting on you to get to where I am. You need to travel the road that I've already traveled. And brother ain't traveled nowhere. But as you were speaking, like that's the first thing that I thought about. And then you have a lot of women who would have taken that word and would have done everything to change who they are, the way that God has already created you. You feeling is not good enough because someone told you you need to meet that man where he is, Jax's mom.
Ooh.
You begin to change yourself to fit this form and image that is not you, also that you can have a man, a piece of a man, not even
Child.
a good one. And it's sad because that's what we see. And so when you and I get on here, I'm saying, on this camera or on our mics, and we speak to that, we upset a lot of people because I understand you have been groomed, formed, and fashioned to believe this. And the sad
Yeah.
part of it is a lot of this stuff come from the black church. We
Listen,
don't want to go
friend.
there.
You said it was the past.
I
I'm
know
like,
I know I stepping on
what?
some toes. I know I'm stepping on some toes. But when
It
I say I was deep rooted in the church, I know the culture of black church like the back of my hand. A lot of this stuff is rooted and grounded in the black church. I have friends who have gotten married because the pastor has said, "This is your husband." They trusted that word, married that no good Negro, and within 2 years was divorced. I've
damn.
seen it happen to women who are in their 30s. My homegirl at the time, we're not friends anymore, but at one point we were, in her 30s, married this man, and within 2 years, it was over. The embarrassment. You shouldn't have married him in the first place. He wasn't ready for you. But
Mm.
because someone told you, this the one, now you have to deal with that trauma. You have to deal with the unnecessary hurt. You have to deal with all of this stuff because you married someone who was not prepared for you. And it's sad because it happens so often, more than what we would think.
So much more. And to speak to us being conditioned, right? Like us being conditioned and groomed, it's on every level. I think well-to-do black women, right, are taught very early on achievement and like this idea of meritocracy, and it's something that I definitely identify with in, pursuit. But even in that, it's easy for you to accept like, oh, you need to meet that man where you're at because everything in your life you've had to go and get. Everything is placed outside of your scope of reach. There's very seldom things for the regular black woman in America placed within arm's reach or brought to her. Like, we have to work so hard to get any and everything that we actually get. So why would that be different as it pertains to a man? And then why would it be different if it is a man of just any kind of caliber? Like, who am I to say, oh, wait a minute, he's not ready for me? I would love for women to be able to more readily proclaim, you're not ready for me. They're not ready for you, sis. It really is like that. It is just that simple. And I know that that could be a little bit harsh on the ears or harsh to hear, because you have been told that you always have to do better. You always have to show up different. You always have to extend the effort. But no, that ain't ready for you. The same way that Lewis was never ready for Jax.
Never. Bold and in all caps, never.
Child. I hope the people that need this is catching it, or at least getting the little seeds that's planted in their heart. And maybe it'll bloom next year or the year after.
I pray they are, because I was telling Erica before we got on, the more I've sat with the character of Jax, the more I already had compassion for the character. Excuse me, but I had just this magnifying level of compassion for this character, because she represents so many women that I know on so many levels. And I don't think, as I was watching it, I really considered how many women in my life were like Jax. But the more I sit with it and just consider certain things, I'm like, this woman represents so many women that I know, so many women who have chosen to stay, and they know they don't want to be there, but they don't want to fail. So I'd rather stay in something that I'm not, myself in, I'm not happy with, I'm not secure with, all for the sake of not failing. I had a friend who stayed, she got married. Her husband was faithful the first 6 months of their marriage and cheated on her for the next 3 years. And she stayed because she didn't want to fail. And she did not want to prove everyone right who said, sis, he's not ready for you.
Damn.
It's so sad, but it's like, this is the culture that we live in. And then when you have women who are in their late 30s or 40s and they're not married, what's wrong with you? Oh, nothing. Everything is right with me. Everything is right, but the culture says something is wrong with you because you're not married. Oh, so no man value you. It's like, no, I value myself so much. I'd rather be single. I'd rather be by myself than connect and commit myself to a man who is not ready for me. That doesn't mean that man can't do what's necessary to be ready for me, but right now he's not willing to do that, and I'm okay. I'm okay with him not being willing, because I'm not gonna compromise just to say I got a man.
That
No.
part. It's that for me. It's quite literally that. It's like, this okay and cool. And even speaking to Lewis's loserdom, right? Like, I'm going to say this. It's okay to be a loser, even though if it's not. But it's like, there are plenty of losers out there. Like, it's only not okay to be a loser when you decide that you no longer want to be a loser. But there's always going to be losers. It just will. Before we go a little bit further into that, now I'm convinced. I've been on the fence because I recorded a little reaction, a little live or whatever. Not live. I recorded something before and I tried to show y'all on the last live and it didn't work. And I think that it didn't work on purpose. And I'm actually kind of grateful that it didn't work. But it was like literally my emotional but very real visceral response to the Jax and Damon scene. And it piggybacks off of what you were saying, Allie, of like, there's so many women who are experiencing certain things. And that's one of the things that came up. Allie ain't seen this video. We haven't actually talked about this particular thing. So this is not contrived, but I'm going to play this for a second. And then we're going to come back to this dope ass conversation.
Yes.
Not it being frozen, honey. Oh, wait.
I am like trying to process my thoughts. I am at, what is this?
I need to pull it up.
Almost halfway through the Reasonable Doubt episode, and I had to pause it. I had to pause it. I'm like sitting and processing my thoughts, and I said, I'm going to record this because I have to go live later. And I'm not necessarily recording this because I want this to be seen, but I feel like I'm going to just like verbally say what I'm thinking, and maybe we can further discuss it on the live. I feel like when I'm on camera, I have to be cognizant of like how I'm saying the things that I say, and while I am pretty much off the cusp, it's still a very polished version. It's a less vulnerable version when you are outwardly trying to put something out to the world, especially during my live streams. But in this moment, I am just pressing record and going to be vulnerable and going to be honest. And maybe this helps. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But I'm very overwhelmed. Am I going to show the internet me crying? Oh my God. Okay. Fuck it. We ball. I'm overwhelmed in this moment with Damon popping up for Jax. But I'm so glad that they did it. My God, I'm so glad that they did it because this helped me better articulate what the I've been feeling the last 2 to 3 episodes. There's so many women who have been advocating for Jax to take Lewis back, just forget about everything, slut shaming her because, you know, she been throwing that ass and doing this and doing that. And she articulates in this moment part of what her reasoning was, and I felt it. I felt it in my core, which is probably why I was so against it. But she's punishing herself. She thinks that Lewis's break baby is her karma, and that is not the case. And I just want to scream at the idea of how many women are so comfortable with putting themselves in position to just accept whatever bullshit comes their way, or taking on everything that's happening around them as their fault, and they just have to eat it. I knew the moment that she flipped that switch and was like, okay, we just gonna push through because I still want my husband. You can still want your husband, but then you can still hold him accountable. The way that she was been powering through, I knew that she was just eating it, and it was making me even madder, and I didn't have the proof basically to speak to it. But I couldn't figure out how to articulate that also being part of it. When I said that Lewis is not doing anything, Lewis is not doing a motherfucking thing. Meanwhile, Jax is carrying the weight of the world, and most black women wind up having to do that, and it's not fucking fair. When I look at this situation, I don't even just see Jax as this character, but I see mothers and aunts and cousins and sisters and homegirls who have gone through some traumatic who have made some poor decisions in romance, and then now find themselves in a space in life where they just settle and they decide that this is my karma, this is what I deserve, and I don't deserve anything more. I don't deserve to be loved appropriately. I don't deserve to be fully seen. I do not deserve to be able to fully express myself in my life. I do not deserve, and it's like you do, and I don't know how else to say it in my content like you do. It does not matter what mistakes you made as long as you're remorseful, as long as you're moving in remorse with different decisions. The moment you decide to pivot and do better, you deserve better. The moment that you are taking the steps and doing the work, the moment you are calling in that greater to you, you are not relegated to the very bare minimum in the bottom. And the way that so many people were just advocating for Jax to just get over this thing with Lewis. Meanwhile, he don't have to do shit but show up. And she gotta diminish herself. She gotta hide her feelings. She gotta gaslight herself. She gotta basically destroy herself to exist in a life, in a circumstance that does not serve the woman that she is and wants to be. It's not fair. And the way that the world just cavalierly asks us to do it constantly, it infuriates my spirit. And it doesn't help. In this moment, I'm really emotional because not only they're speaking to this, and I just feel so validated in my intuition and like the knowing, right, that I've had. But it doesn't make it better that Damon is the one speaking certain words of affirmation and release over her. And I know that so many people do not get it. I honestly can admit, like, Damon was fucked up. He was toxic, yes. But there was still something about his spirit that for Jax was always so freeing. That I feel like from what we have seen, she has been the truest to herself in circumstances in relation to him. And that shit is powerful. So yes, he did some stuff at the end. And he died for it. As he should. But that to me doesn't erase what he has been able to unlock for this woman. And I'm not going to be able to forget it and act like it doesn't exist the way that everybody in her life is acting like it doesn't damn exist. Her next man, her man that she stays with, needs to be able to unlock that. Create freedom and safety in her being really her. Not her ducking and hiding and smoking cigarettes because she's stressed and just trying to push herself to get over her feelings. Not her feeling like she has to eat whatever's currently coming to her because she was a hoe or because she did this or because she did that. She really is saying, this break baby is my fault, so I can't be mad about it. And y'all are greenlighting that. Wow. Okay. I'm going to finish watching. He hasn't finished talking, but I immediately started to tear up. I immediately, like, and be clear, I'm crying for most of the women that I have to, like, engage with. Honestly, women that I know, like, women in my actual lives who are either single or who are trapped. And I'm going to try to say as little as possible because these women are actually in my life and I'm not trying to, like, call anybody out or anything, but it, like, seeing people that I love not fully love themselves how they should or could is a trigger for me. And when these similar things play out in shows, I see people I love, and that's a trigger for me. But then also, full transparency, I see old Erica. And this is an Erica that I have forgiven. This is an Erica that I have nurtured. So I'm not even struggling with these things right now. But it's emotional and it's triggering because I get it. And there's so much better. And I really wish, like, old Erica knew this then. I wish current family members and current friends would know this. I wish you subscribers, especially the ones or just people who are casually watching who start to berate me and belittle me and demean me because I'm advocating for women to always get more. I wish y'all knew that it is not your fault and that you deserve better.
Yeah. I've not watched that video back since I recorded it. I know Ellie's still listening to it, so take your time, friend. I'm actually glad I shared it, but I'm like, damn, Erica, I didn't really realize I was that emotional. But alas, we're here. Yeah, those are my thoughts in the actual moment. And I appreciate KK says yes. Also, Lou is still blaming her for what Damon did to her and insinuating that putting up with it means her love is unconditional. Such a brilliant point. I'm glad I recorded that. Those are my real thoughts in the moment. And that is what I want to try to figure out how I communicate and get across to people. Hey, Ellie. How do you feel about that, friend?
That was, I don't know if I have all the words just yet, but that was such a powerful moment to express such vulnerability, transparency, and intention. And it's so easy because we do have fun when we talk about these shows. You know, like, girl, Michael Ealy fine. He just fine. He just fine. And like, we're women. So of course that's not ever gonna go anywhere. The man fine. You know, but then taking a moment to consider what's the reason he was the one that she could be completely bare with? What was the reason it was so important for him to be her voice of reason, even though he did what he did? And you expressing that, and even talking about how even watching it, you are thinking about the women in your life, even your old self, you know, the things that you may have done, the things that you may have allowed, and then the beauty in maturing, the beauty in falling in love with self and knowing your worth and what that journey looks like, and the desperation that other people will find that too. So I think it really speaks to the intent behind. A lot of people come on our both of our channels, and for y'all who don't know, a lot of people come on here and just straight try to rip us a new one because of how we may feel, not even understanding or even willing to consider what's the reason we're saying the things that we're saying. You know, we understand where you may be, but our desire is that we want you to be in the place where you are your whole self. And so a lot of our
Yes.
stuff is not going to sound like everyone else's, but just seeing the true intention. So that was, I love that you shared that.
Oh, thanks, friend.
I love that you shared that.
Thank you. I mean, you've seen that version of me before. Um,
Yes.
Shout out to you. I mean, Allie, I think I'm spiraling because I do care and I do have like genuine intentions. Like, yes, it's all fun and games. These are TV shows or whatever, and we creating content and YouTube, yada 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 yada. But I am a Gemini, yapping Gemini that actually wants to say things. I'm not talking just to talk. I promise you. Like, I am talking to my younger self. I am talking to my younger sisters. I am talking to my cousins. I'm talking to people coming from where I come from. I'm talking so that hopefully people can duck and dodge some of the things that I got hit with, got my rock with, and then they don't actually have to stumble. Jessica said, "Are you a life coach?" No, I'm just a very passionate, yappy ass Gemini who has gotten to a place that she values words and values getting to and unearthing whatever is going on so that I can speak to how I feel and I can speak to how I think. And then that is just what I put in my content. So no, I'm not a life coach, but I want better for y'all's lives. Ultimately, because if everybody else's lives are better, maybe we have a better world. But, you know, that's outside of my scope, okay? I hope that y'all enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too much because I get that it is emotional and all of that. But that is what I would love for other women to take from Jax. I think that Jax as a character is like unlike much of any other Black woman that we have ever seen on television. And she's not getting enough credit or like praise for that. And honestly, I'm really glad that I know I was going back and forth. I know I'm really glad that I shared it because I still get messages of like, I thought I was the only person who felt this way. I thought I was the only person who saw this. So for a person in the back who might not be commenting in the chat, who, you know, might have been moved as well with the finale, who has felt like they had to, you know, come up with excuses for poor treatment and for feeling like you're not being loved appropriately, but people are doing what they're supposed to do and you not feeling good with that, you're not alone. You are not wrong. And you get to ask for what the hell you want and what the hell you need. Now, taking it to Damon, who I know you are not a fan of, Allie. Like, you felt like Damon didn't really care. Or no, you felt like Jax didn't really care about him. That's what you said. That she was never going to take him seriously.
No. Yeah. No, okay. I felt she loved Damon. Yeah, I felt that she loved Damon. I just believe that she would have never chosen him. Like that's where I feel. I feel like she would have never
even after the finale
be in a serious relationship. I still feel that way. I don't think she would have chosen him.
Do you think that would have been a mistake?
I'm gonna go back and rewatch. Huh?
Do you think that would have been a mistake? Because you might be right, right? Like, you might be right that she would have never chosen him, but she's clearly choosing Lewis. So.
Yeah. Are you asking if she never married Lewis? Do I believe she would have chosen Damon, or is
No,
this
I'm
like
saying
Lewis is still in the picture?
I'm saying in with the context of you feeling like she would have never really chosen Damon, do you feel like in seeing the finale and seeing how high regard he held in her mind, do you think that possibly, like, the possibility of never choosing him really could have been a mistake for her?
Never choosing him would have been a mistake. I think for me, if Lewis wasn't in the picture, choosing Damon would not have been a mistake.
So you feel like the
If that
marriage
makes
is the
sense.
reason that
I
she
feel like
couldn't.
the marriage, yeah. Yeah, I feel like the marriage is
Mm.
the reason, and I didn't state that when we first started talking about it. I feel like her marriage is the only reason she did not choose Damon. But if she did not have Lewis in her life, I think she would have chosen Damon.
Oh, see, the way I took it was you're saying that she just didn't take that man seriously.
Oh no. It's Lewis.
Oh.
Yeah, Lewis in the marriage. If that wasn't there, definitely.
Uh, see,
Yeah.
here go Lewis causing problems again.
It's always Lewis. It's always Lewis. Dang.
What do you think? KK said yes.
Ooh.
Also, Lewis still blaming her for what Damon did to her and insinuating that putting up with it means he loves her unconditionally. How you feel about that?
So I told Erica that I went back and I watched a lot of the scenes with them in therapy. I can't begin to tell y'all what it did to me emotionally and on the inside when he brought up the fact that, I still have to listen to you scream out another man's name. I said, wait a minute. It wasn't like she was screaming out his name in a pleasurable way. It was not that. It was a traumatic experience. And for Lewis to tie that into, I'm dealing with this because I love you and there's an unconditional love because I can deal with you screaming out the man's name who I know you were having a sexual relationship with. And the more I think about Lewis, I didn't think I could dislike a male character more than I dislike Zachary Taylor on Sisters. But Lewis has surpassed him in a way I never
Ooh.
thought was imaginable. And the reason why I think Lewis has superseded that for me is because Lewis gaslights the hell out of Jax, and he is a compulsive liar. I can't deal. Now, Jack does some of the same things, but Lewis does it on in a very calculated way. Watching him in therapy, I take it back to this moment too, and I'm gonna tie it in. When they were in therapy, I think it was the first episode of season 2. Lewis said that he gave Jax an ultimatum of being a wife or a lawyer. The therapist stated, "What did you expect her response to be?" He said both. And Jax was like, "Are we rewriting history?" I'm like, "You lying right there. You didn't expect that woman to say both. You wanted her to choose wife. You wanted her
Mm-hmm.
to deny and denounce the very thing that she had for herself because it pleased you." So even going back to, well, I love you so much because I'm willing to deal with this. Lewis actually believed that he was blemish free and sinless in this marriage. The whole time you knew that you were hiding something from your wife. People like that truly scare me because you can walk around and do dirt and hurt people and it doesn't faze you. And to me, Lewis is that guy. That's why I could never respect him, and my heart just breaks because Jax is still with him. He's not a good guy. I'm sorry. He's not a good person. He's just not.
Child. I didn't gave y'all what my takes are for Lewis the loser, but I don't even think that I put compulsive liar on there. Can we unpack that a little bit more, friend?
Yeah. Very first episode, with the moment, because I went back, I'm like, when the therapist asked him, well, what did you want her response to be? I wanted her to choose both. Nothing. The whole reason why you're out of the house is because Lewis felt that he wasn't getting the time that he so desired from his wife because she put so much attention and time into her job. And now you're telling me that you wanted her to choose both? Nigga, the whole time she was choosing both, and that wasn't enough for you. So, and
Mm.
it's sad when you're with your man and you have to play. And this is something I will say that someone taught me a long time ago. And she said, when you're talking to people, you need to be listening for the things that they're not saying, because
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to pick up. We have a conversation. I'm in tune. I'm listening to what you're saying. But what is it that you're not saying?
Yep.
Because when Jax was choosing both, that wasn't enough for you. And now you sitting in this therapist's office telling him that you wanted her to choose both when that's what she had been doing the entire time that she was with you. So you're lying right there. So because she didn't choose both, you decided, well, I'm gonna make the decision for you. I'm gonna leave. Therefore, I'm no longer a full time husband. I'm no longer a full time father. Yet, I want you to bend over backwards to make me feel comfortable to come back home. And you was using that as bait the entire time.
Yeah.
If you change, I'll come back. You didn't care how it affected your kids, who you innately just I think about your existence all the time. Bull crap.
And you
Bull
thinking
crap.
about my
Then
existence doesn't actually even speak to you considering me as a person. You just know I exist. That's what that tells me.
that's
Which,
it. That's it.
great. There are men on child support pissed about it that know that their kids exist. What are you telling me?
Okay.
I'm pissed.
Then on top of that, what I couldn't shake this entire season is when the therapist made a point to tell them that they spoke to each other as if they were keeping score,
Mm-hmm.
and that needed to change. Jax made a very intentional statement to Louis when she asked him, "Are you sure you're not punishing me?" His response to her was, "No, I don't think that's I don't think that's it." No, let's consider that, Lewis. Don't be so quick to respond. Consider what this woman just told you. Are you sure you're not punishing me? No, I don't think that's it. Why don't you think that's it? Because that's exactly what you're doing. This woman straight up asked you, "Did you have sex with someone that I know?" You paused for a moment and had a reflection of you boning what you call the Erica, the PTA hole. You had a flashback of you boning the PTA hole, knowing you and your wife know who this woman is, and you blatantly told Jax no.
And your daughter,
You're a
who you know
compulsive
exists,
liar.
is best friends with the PTA ho's daughter,
Come on.
but you gonna say no. And you
But you
said
gonna say
no
no.
because you were trying to be kind, when in actuality, you just didn't want to hear it. Oh, okay.
That's what he said.
Oh, okay.
That's what he said. That came out of his mouth. That's what he said. And you weren't gonna tell Jay. You was never gonna tell Jax about this woman. The only reason it came out is because the woman was pregnant, and that's one of the biggest issues I have with a lot of women. I'm sorry if you're one of these women, but I'm concerned for you. So many people place such a heavy emphasis on the baby. I wasn't even mad at the baby part because we got a whole lot of stuff before we get to that. I specifically asked you, did you have sex with someone that I know? And you lied to me. And you continued to lie to me until you had no choice but to tell me the truth. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who intentionally chooses to be dishonest and they only reveal the truth when the truth doesn't talk your ass. I don't want to be with someone like that. That's why I say
Mm-hmm.
you gaslit and you lied to this woman so much. He told the therapist he didn't feel like Jax was trying, knowing you was holding this deceit within you. And she's not trying. Everything about Lewis just screamed to me, you need to be by yourself. Period. What are you
Mm.
holding on to? To tell me you love Jax, and then when he talked about he had to deal with her trauma, I wanted to punch him. Because I'm like, number one, that's not anything to make light of what she experienced. And then number two, you feel like you have trauma of your own. You have all these things that maybe you had to deal with. And I'm not saying that he didn't, but you never brought it up for us to dissect what you went through. But to use that against that woman, it took me to a different place, because I know a lot of women who have been, sexually molested or assaulted. They tend to choose careers where they have to advocate for themselves. Even men who are assaulted at a young age, a lot of them are pastors, counselors, lawyers, because they advocate for the ones who can't advocate for themselves. They advocate for the ones who feel like they don't have a voice. They tend to be in those type of capacities, therapists, counselors, things like that. And the very thing that probably brings her a sense of wholeness, because she's able to do something in that way for the innocent, or even for the guilty who still have a voice, that's the very thing you want to take away from her. It's deeper than her just being a lawyer. The very thing that she gets to advocate for, the people who she gets to advocate for, that's the very thing you want to take away from her. And that has nothing to do with you. That's just for herself. And you don't want her to have that. The more, like I said, the more I sit with this show, it's so beautifully written. I love it. But I'm like, the layers that it presents to have these type of conversations, it probably has become one of my favorite shows, just based on the nature of what these characters are dealing with and going through at this time.
Yeah.
But I want us to do better, women. I want us to do so much better. Lewis,
Child. And I got on screen right now the moment where Jax had to comfort him about losing his break baby that he wants to lie to his other kids about. It's just like, it just keeps getting more and more insidious. And on the surface level, it's like, oh, this is so cute, black love. But when you really know what's going on, this is additionally traumatic stuff. Are we not going to account for how traumatic it could be to have to big spoon your grown-ass husband who betrayed you and lied to you about a woman that he had a break baby with only because the break baby existed, and now the break baby is no longer here and he's fighting demonic-ass feelings about being glad about the damn baby not being here and his ego of like wanting another son? Or is that just supposed to be a cakewalk because she's Jax?
When I tell you, Erica, I talked to my mom about that scene. We talked about it the other day. And I said, I think I'm a pretty strong person, and I'm a pretty compassionate person. I don't know if I have the wherewithal. I'm gonna just put it out there. I don't, to console my husband as he grieves the dead child that he had with another woman in our bed. I'm holding you, letting you cry and get it out. I don't have that. I don't have that. But everything made sense when we got to the conversation with her and Damon. But I was just like, it is amazing what a woman, and I'm only speaking as a woman. Men, I can't speak for y'all, but it is amazing to me that and things that I know I've done in my life too, the sacrifices and compromise that you will make for a man that you in love with. You would do some of the things that you never thought you would do. Things you told yourself you would never do, because I love him. Because I love him. Almost to the point of degrading yourself. Because I love him. That
And yes, you married this man, but I'm gonna even take it just to like on a relationship level. We also need to be real women with ourselves on how much of this is I love this man and I'm doing this because I love this man versus I love this man because I don't know how to love myself. And this is the only way that I know to experience love, because I know I can speak to that in my 20s. There was a young Negro. This is the first and like in the last, I believe. And I realized years later, like, yo, I loved him more than I loved myself. And I think that that's also something that jumps off to me about Jax and some of the decisions that she's making. So I'm not even fully invested in her choosing certain things autonomously because it feels like it's fueled by trauma. This like, yes, be compassionate and be empathetic, but how much of this is also you devaluing yourself to show up and coddle this man in this circumstance because he's deserving of comfort and safety in his poor decisions, but then you don't get that same thing. Just some
That's
questions.
the truth. And I felt that. Oh, you said we have questions?
No. I'm saying those are just some of my questions.
Oh, those are some of your questions. Yeah. My thought process, I felt like Lewis got off easy.
Mm-hmm.
I felt he got off easy. The baby not making it was him getting off easy. He didn't have to explain anything to his children. I believe that he was so against this funeral or this homegoing service because there probably was going to be some people that were going to be there who did not know that he was the father, and you didn't want to deal with that embarrassment. Yet, you don't have a problem if Jax have to deal with the embarrassment of the situation with Damon and it being on the news and people find like all of this stuff. You're still in protective mode about yourself, what benefits you and only you, because you didn't have to be honest.
Yep.
You didn't have to reveal, the truth about your outside activities and what it produced and everything like that. And even his comment to Jax about not telling the children until the baby was born. No, tell them now. Why you want to
Tell
wait?
them now. And shout out to KK, because KK agreed with you. She put in the chat that he didn't want to go to the funeral because he didn't want to have to explain it to his kids.
Facts. I just felt like, why is Lewis getting off so easy? But then again, I look at it from both sides, just, as a viewer, and as a writer, and I understand that it's whoever is writing this show, they are speaking to the truth about a certain sect of men. Like, this is the reality of it, things happen. Oh, I had to tell nobody, the baby died, you know what I'm saying? My heart go out. But man, I ain't have to tell nobody gonna know about that, but just me and wifey.
No
Did you ever think
qualms.
twice about what wifey? None.
I have no qualms with the writers, but I have every qualm in the world with some of you women who are jumping up and down and are excited about it. Yes, Lewis, he don't have to worry about this baby. Yes, Lewis is just trying. Lewis got potential. I got beef with y'all. I have no beef with the writers. Like Allie said, they are writing these men that we are dating and marrying. The point is that we need to wake up and stop it. Go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted your point.
No, you're right. We need to stop it. We need to stop. And me and Erica had a conversation the other day. And I said, you know what? I need women to stop telling me that their man is trying. Because I want you to go look up what the word trying means. Trying means to make a strenuous effort. I want to know in season 2 and season 1, what strenuous effort have we watched Lewis do? Absolutely nothing. He has made no strenuous effort to do anything.
Except to lie.
He trying? That's it. He doing everything to keep them lies covered. So yeah, he making a strenuous effort to keep those lies covered up. Other than that, he's not making a strenuous effort for his children. He's not making a strenuous effort for Jax. He thinks that just showing up the therapy. And another part of Lewis, when they were in therapy, when the therapist asked them what was the last time they had a date night, and they were both like, oh, like it had been a long time. And they went out on the date. It was a very sensual moment between the two. No, they did not have sex, so they both was drunk and they fell asleep. However, for them, I thought it was a good, it was a good moment seeing them like that because they haven't had one of those moments. And so Jack is under the impression that, yeah, we had a great night. When they go to therapy the next session, he's like, he downplayed it as if it wasn't a good moment. He said, because we weren't intimate. And I said, well, Lewis, intimacy doesn't always include penetration. Just being on a date with your spouse and cuddling in bed, that's intimacy. Intimacy doesn't always involve somebody busting a nut. It's not that. And so Jax was looking at him like, what are you talking about? I figured, I thought we were, doing something great. And it was almost as if he would flip these switches on her out of nowhere. And she told him, like, if you want me to put my gloves down, you need to take yours off. Like you don't
Mm.
even realize what you're doing. You're being snappy, mad, disrespectful, but you want me to just be the docile wife and just accept everything that you do. No, it's not gonna happen that way. And so even in that, I think that same session, he brought up the reason why he hadn't tried anything with Jax is because she was still vulnerable from the Damon situation. And I'm like, I'm gonna need you to stop using him as an excuse.
Because he did start to use it at a certain point, which just points to the
Mm-hmm.
punishing. Like, that is your ace in the hole. That is your two of clubs. Like, that is your thing that you can always default to because, or deflect to, because in a moment that you're having a conversation about her struggling with you doing this very real thing, now you put the onus back on her to consider her actions behind some traumatic shit that she experienced, and we are no longer talking about you. But he a good man,
Yes.
though.
He a good man, Savannah.
I want to
He
go
a
to,
good
like,
man,
you
Savannah.
you pointed out going back to season 1 how he was saying that he wanted Jax to spend more time with him. And when I hear that, and some of y'all might know me because you've been around here a little bit, but if you don't, you finna learn. Erica a little different. Erica listens. Erica's kind of intentional. When I hear that, I also then hear, or I wait to hear, what are the ways in which you are attempting to spend more time with me? Because if I was to go back through my goddamn Rolodex, I don't think I have not one visual of Lewis down at that goddamn law firm. I don't remember him bringing her coffee. I don't remember him bringing her lunch. I don't remember him bringing her dinner. I don't remember him riding the car. I don't remember him going on runs, but he run. But we enter into this season, we enter into this show, and you're mad that you don't have enough time with her. But y'all want me to believe that that man is trying, complaining about not having enough time. And this woman has very full days, and his ass has not tagged along to not a one. He has not inserted himself in not a one. Interesting. And it speaks to the selfish and seemingly narcissistic tone that that particular request from Lewis actually has, because it's not about, oh, you just want to be with me because you love me so much and you actually miss my presence, or you miss how my shampoo smells, or you miss being able to reach out and touch me throughout the day. If anything, now I'm at a place of, you want me to do the things that you want me to do. Because all of the things that make up my life, you can't be bothered to actually come along and join if the intention is spending time together. She got her name on the building. She's a partner. And you ain't down there kicking up your feet like, damn, my wife is fly as hell. I ain't seen you bend her over this damn desk at the job not once. But she gonna be wrong if she bent over that conference room table. Like, y'all are just never gonna get me to see what y'all see as it pertains to Lewis, because he has nothing but space and opportunity and does nothing with it. Just a little point. Just a little point.
That's a big point. That's a huge point, because if I can tell my man, like, babe, I really want us to spend more time together. And this is what I mean when I say that. I know you normally work on the weekend. Okay, on the 25th, is there a possibility that you could take that day off? I want to plan something. Yeah, babe, I'll when I go in tomorrow, I'll make sure I take that time off. So you're saying things, but you're not, to your point, you're not making any effort to capitalize on what you say you want. So Jack spending time with you equates to her not being a lawyer. So what do you
Not
want
doing
her
the
to
things
do?
that she wants to do. Not being, like,
Exactly.
ultimately not being who the hell she is. But y'all want me to believe he a good man. He's a good man, but not a good man for her. Maybe we'll just settle there.
Let's go there.
And that's the thing. Like, there
Let's
are
go
women
there.
who do less. There are women out here who will live off of you today. There's a woman with no
Yes.
place to stay today, Lewis. You want a woman that's going to spend all of her goddamn day with you? There is a woman who needs a home today. Let's go find you her.
That's the truth. And it's sad because even though Tony, that's her name, Tony, right? The PTA hoe. Is her name Tony? At one point, I said maybe you need to get you a Tony. But the way things are panning out, Tony don't even want you.
Ooh,
She wouldn't deal with you on that level. She'll have sex with you. She'll ride you 1 or 2 times. But to be with you, no.
child.
Mm-mm.
Ooh,
Mm-mm.
ain't
Nope.
that a damn word if I've ever heard. All right. We didn't let Lewis have it a little bit, and I'm ready to move on.
Okay. All right. All right.
Because the crux of this episode for me was that goddamn Damon conversation. I'm not even gonna hold you. It moved me. I still think about it to this day. And I'm so proud of, like, it just created the perfect like bookend to what I felt like was such a beautiful season of just growth and evolution with the Jax character. So it just worked on so many levels. Now I know that you told me, on a general how you felt about, the Damon scene. Anything else that you want to add
Yeah.
now that we've unearthed so many of Lewis's little
It
shortcomings?
it it just made so much sense to me because I know, like, even in the lives for a reasonable doubt, I know a lot of us, me, you, and Brittany, we were trying to figure out what's the reason Jax is doing this. Like, we kept asking that question live after live because we could not even formulate the thought for it to make sense. And when she had that conversation with Damon, it just put everything into proper perspective for me as to the reason why Jax was doing what she was doing is because she felt she deserved what was happening to her. And even for, Damon to tell her, like, no, this is like, you don't deserve this. This is not it. But it had to come, like, she has to believe that I deserve better. This is not my karma. There was nothing that I did that would cause me to be responsible for the things that Lewis has done, or even for myself to be at liberty to take this weight on because it's not mine to take and it's not really my cross to carry. It was just a powerful moment because I think it spoke to, if anything, that I would have thought that would have awakened some women who may have been watching was that moment. And like, if they felt that way about themselves, that maybe they've done something in the past and they felt like, whatever I get, this is what it is. I know women who have had abortions years ago and they feel like the treatment that they are getting or receiving is because they chose to have an abortion. And sadly, people think that, and it doesn't matter your tax bracket. I know Tony Braxton, even I don't know who read her book, but Tony Braxton had an abortion and she felt that her son having autism
Mm-hmm.
was her karma. And so it is a mindset that plagues a lot of women, that really has a lot of women in prison mentally and emotionally and psychologically, and that they're not even willing to verbalize that. So women who can honestly assess themselves and make that declaration, there is strength in that. To me, there is strength in acknowledging, I feel like I deserve this because I did X, Y, and Z. And it also reveals the fact that I haven't forgiven myself
Mm-hmm.
for what I may have done, what I may have gotten myself entangled with. It may not have been the right thing for me to do, but I've done it. I can't do anything about it but learn from it and choose not to fall in that pit hole again. So that was just such a powerful moment. It was like the cherry on the top for season 2. And I think I love the fact that they was having this conversation, and then when whatever was stated was done, whatever Damon was there to do to finish his duty, when they panned the camera and he was no longer there, it's like, okay, now it's time for Jax to make a decision about what she's gonna do, with this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was captivating.
Yeah.
Like, I had to go back and rewatch it. But it was a captivating moment that I'm so glad that she was able to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it will only come with Damon.
Same. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And while she spoke to, like, this is her karma for hurting you, and she was speaking to Damon, I think that she was also speaking to so many of the mistakes that were happening at that same time, whether it was the security guard or the blame that she actually held and guilt that she held behind, you know, her molestation. And I feel like while we had her deal with that a little bit in season 1, the way that her mama's still moving feels like we haven't dealt with it for real, because she's still stepping and fetching it for her goddamn mama, when her mama, to me, should be atoning for the rest of her goddamn days, not trying to be Beyonce, but that's another conversation. It really just put into perspective, like I, you know, said in my video, just the amount of weight she was willing to take from everyone around her, not just her husband, not just her boyfriend, but from everyone, and like eating it. And it's just so reminiscent to me of what I see Black women do on a daily basis in their lives for the people that they love. And while it can seem noble, it is the thing that will destroy you from within. So I really appreciate how Damon stuck to his theme and how freeing he is for her, and was there enough to reaffirm in this point of giving her back her trust and her belief in herself, and ultimately her voice for herself, and then releasing her. Love that. To me, that is a sign of true love, and I believe that she knows that Damon really did love her while he made terrible decisions, especially towards the end. I think that that is the unconditional love that she thinks she has with Lewis.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know
It
people
is
don't.
just not there.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying it's just not there. It's just not, you know, when the therapist brought up that concept of unconditional love and the fact that, you know, Jax has never experienced it with anybody. And she made a point to say that at one point she didn't even believe that that type of love could exist. And then she went to believing that Lewis was the person that had given her unconditional love. And my mind still kind of, I'm stuck at a point to what has he done to cause her to believe that? Or does she still believe it now? That part I don't know after
Ooh,
this, you know, conversation with Damon.
I love where we're about to go, friend. I love where
Yeah.
we're about to go. And you are like, you do this so effortlessly. You don't even know that you're doing it half the time that your ass is doing it. But you be giving me the layup. So don't lose your thought. But I want to interject here really quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because when I tell you, not even a layup, you threw this. This was an alley oop for real, and that's why your goddamn name is Allie. Goddamn it.
Okay.
I personally feel like we're only triangulating Lewis in any proximity to unconditional love, quote unquote, because he's the last man goddamn standing. And it feels a little bit like this moment in the damn episode when she's crying and she's emotional, right? And Corey is there and he's about to hold her. She turns and runs to Lewis, not because Lewis is the safest thing or the most comforting thing, but because that's what she's supposed to do when he's there. And Corey's not my husband. So for me, when you think of the conversation around, I've never experienced unconditional love before. Yes, you have. It just happens to have been tied to a toxic ass end, a very toxic ass circumstance. And also the therapist that's speaking to you about that don't even know the ins and outs like the white therapist does. He knows your relationship. The white woman therapist knows all that went down as it pertains to you and Damon. So maybe if they were actually parlaying, he could actually get his goddamn therapy notes together and be right for you. But Lewis was never going to be it. But she wants to feel that. She wants to have known that. And the damn therapist wants to affirm something. So I believe the therapist was rooting for the damn relationship. So here we are, alas. Well, then Lewis got to be it. Because he's still here and he's the last man standing. It very much so gives consolation prize. It very much so gives, there's a much better candidate standing right here, but I'm still wearing your ring. So let me just go ahead and get this hug from this when I really want the hug from this one.
Lori, I'm glad them fireworks was exploding because it deserved that. That deserved that. And that's so true. That's so true. I think about how many women, you know, and I'm not rooting for anyone to have an affair. Let me preface it with that. However, sometimes, unfortunately, you can be in a situation. I mean, I'll just use marriage since we're talking about Jackson Lewis. Someone can be in a marriage and then and I want to make it very clear, this is not the 80-20 rule where I'm missing 20, you know what I'm saying, from the man that's giving me 80, so I go out here because 20 looking really good because I'm not getting it. That's not what this is. When you have deficiencies in your marriage, and not only that, when you are not being loved the way that you desire, cared for the way that you deserve to be cared for, being constantly lied to, there comes a time where we have to stop using titles and labels for why we are subjecting ourselves to toxicity. We'll say, oh, well, that's my husband, and oh, that's my sister. So, girl, that's my mama. And I'm not saying to disrespect your mama, but what I'm saying is, mom, we are both adults, we are both individuals, whatever, whatever. My husband, you don't get a pass because you're my husband. You don't get a pass because we signed a marriage license and that gives you the license to do whatever it is that you want. That's not what that does. And we have a tendency to rely on that to allow people to mistreat us because that's my husband or because of the relational dynamic. And so there's deficiency here. So you meet somebody who not only doesn't have deficiencies in that way, but you know that it's genuine. They ain't just trying to have sex with you, even though, Corey did won't do. But there was a certain, I think, protectiveness that he had for Jax, a certain level of concern that he had for her. And a lot of times we miss out on real love because we're doing what we are supposed to do instead of doing what we know our heart is drawing us to. And sadly, some people never get to experience that type of love because you have decided to stick with who you're supposed to be with. Mm-mm. Divorce is there for a reason, and I'm not saying for people to get a divorce, but what I'm saying is consider consider the source, consider who you're with, consider what's happening, consider what's not happening, and make a decision. And if
I,
it's divorce, it's divorce.
friend, I
Just saying.
see your beautifully articulated point of what you supposed to do, and you missing out on love because you're too busy doing what you're supposed to do, and raise you that you also may be either creating a circumstance for someone else to fall in love with you, or you're falling in love with who people pretend to be while your ass is also pretending.
Come on now.
Since we out here doing what we supposed to do, we're being who we supposed to be, showing up where we supposed to be at, saying what we supposed to say, all of that is creating a beautiful performance. Viola, come on. Like a beautiful performance. We are out here every day performing, forgetting our actual selves, calling ourselves falling in love, and then finding out that we can't maintain the act 24/7, 365, and now lost in whatever we got ourselves in, but staying because we supposed to.
That's a word. That's a word, though. I'm just saying. Consider it.
Consider it. I'm going to bring Brit and Edify Style and some OGs that were waiting. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't even see y'all over here. Me and Allie over here having too good of a conversation. Hold on. Let me get this together. Okay. Can y'all hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Brit, you there?
Hey.
Okay, perfect. Come on. The gang's all here. How y'all been enjoying the conversation so far?
Oh, I done had every emotion under the sun. You had me over here crying. Now I'm mad again. Now I'm looking for trash bags so I can bag Lewis up because the whole coddling and cuddling him piece. What? It goes back. I think we talked about it once, and I'm not gonna monopolize, but I think we said it here once before. Lewis is the epitome of a man who's been coddled his whole life. He wants his wife to mother him, and I just hate this for them, but I love the conversation. And also, hey, howdy, girl, seeing your face is like, hey, boo, hey.
Okay.
Great to see everybody here. I've been kicking myself in my behind, not trying to get to these lives, and I'm mad that I missed them. And I was like, I got to get to these lives. So I'm like, when I saw you were live today, I said, I got to jump on. I'm like, is the Discord open? Because I got to get in here to have a conversation with my people about this show. Allie, good to see you. I hope everything's going well on your side of the woods. I'm praying everything is going better for you. Hopefully you praying strength, health, and peace for you, definitely.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I know, Erica, you've asked me on my team Lewis, and I gotta say, I gotta hop off for a little bit because Lewis disappointed me the last chunk of the season, especially the last episode.
Listen, it's also so much bigger than that. It is not even that simple anymore. It's one thing to like root for and have empathy for humans. Like, I understand wanting to do that with him as a human. So it don't even matter if you team. We're not even going to talk about team such and such, a team such and such. We're just going to talk about the characters as it is. How about that? We're going to just lift that label. Because I feel like that is what brings us into a very trite conversation. Not to say that you're going to do that, but I feel like I have gotten into a like, well, if you're Team Lewis, then I got to know. No. Let's have the conversation. Why are you jumping off, though?
No, because as I'm sitting here watching the episode, and I'm not going to hold you, the minute I saw Lil Dude and he said the baby on the way, I was like, he not going to make it, Jesus. He going on to glory. That baby's too soon. That baby's far too soon. Anyone knows the lungs are the last piece to really fully develop. He too early. And when I saw him, they had a little thing in the NICU, which is amazing to the prop people who make a baby look like that.
Yes.
I was like, I said, whoa. I said, he not going to make it, Jesus. Go and take him, Lord. Send him on to glory. Release him from this world of tragedy and heartache, God. Because that's all he going to face here right now with these three knuckleheads as parents. But then I was looking at it, I was like, Lewis sitting there crying, which I get you morning, but you looking at Jax, like it was an earlier episode, talking about when are we going to tell the kids? And she's sitting there like, I ain't telling the kids nothing. You going to tell these kids. And so I was like, okay, Lewis, but it's your responsibility as the leader, right? That's what you're claiming to be. Sit the kids down and tell the kids, hey, so daddy effed up and we got a baby on the way and y'all were having a little brother, which Damon would have been like, oh, great, somebody else I got to compete with. Because she already looked at side-eyeing Spencer like, this nigga take all the love in the room. This nigga take up all the love. All the love and the space in the room. So I got to compete with this one and the newborn. Yay!
She like, this is wild work.
Right. So then, I'm not trying to monopolize, but then, so then when the child, transitioned on, he's sitting there crying for the loss. But then it's also like, Lewis, you over there, you and Jack dodging missiles because now you got to tell nobody about the baby. But you said when the baby get here, you would tell the kids. Baby got here, you didn't say nothing. So what's up? Why didn't you didn't even tell a brother, hey, bro, you got a new nephew coming. Like, I thought y'all was close. So what happened to the communication? And so then even what really got me off the ship was him going to Tony. And I thought about this today, saying, I want to be there for the funeral. And I was like, but at least say goodbye. That's the least you could possibly do is just send the child off, just whether you knew him or not, you still had an affection for the child because you were thinking about, I want to be a father of this kid. And yet you don't want to see him go on off and send him on way and, and let him go on. So I was like, Lewis, that's kind of...
So I'm curious about that particular part because in the last live it was presented like Lewis didn't get a chance to add. But I took it in reference to how he responded to Tony of like, he was planning to drop off them little raggedy ass grocery store flowers and that was going to be it. He did not plan to create no goodbye. He did not want to say in a funeral. I felt like he was saying that he did not want a funeral at all. How did y'all take his response? Do you think that Tony didn't leave any space for him to customize the homegoing and that was his issue, or do you think that he did not want it at all?
I truly believe, and I hate to say it, but it was a couple of episodes ago when we saw him crying when he was drunk, and he said he didn't want the baby truly anyway. I don't know. I forgot that part, but when it came to the scene where she was consoling him, crying about, oh no, the baby's gone. Part of me was like, wasn't this just last week? You were like, you really didn't want it. So when it came to the funeral, I felt like, and knowing Lewis and seeing how he moves in this season and in the season prior, he skated off. So it was like, okay, here's the flower. Sorry for your loss, but we really didn't get to connect with the baby like that. For real, I don't really see the need. And she was like, I'm gonna put this picture on the cover of the obituary. He was like, wait a minute, that's got my face on it. I didn't want to be in it any more than I needed to be because I'm skating out of this situation. My wife's back, everybody's good, my kids are talking to me. Like he presents as men that I know in real life, where it's like, sometimes you wish the worst on them so they can actually experience what it means to have to grow through something beyond stuff that's always working out in your favor. Not that a baby dying is working out in your favor, but for this situation, he gets to skirt responsibility. And how dare you blast it to the world? Because I don't have to tell my kids now. I didn't have to bring a baby home. My wife is playing along with however I decide to take the lead. We know he's leading you into the dumpster jacks run, but like there's just so much more that I did not see him go in there like, okay, let me help with the arrangements, because he would have came with a check, not some grocery store flowers. He would have came with, what do we need to do? He would have approached it from, I know you're dealing with a lot. But she was like, yeah, for the funeral. He was like, funeral? What you talking? Like, wait a minute, pump your brakes, because then we got to tell the community, and there's going to be people there. And that's why she was like, I told you I didn't need you for nothing. And here you are, you pushed in. And so now for them to have a lawsuit with this situation, I'm like, Lewis always putting his big 6'5" and stuff that nobody asked him to do.
Allie, did you think that he wanted to say, or did you think he wanted out?
He wanted out. He wanted to be out, all the way outside. Lewis came there, as it was stated, to just drop off those little flowers and be on his merry way, because I think Lewis was relieved that the child had passed. Because just like Brittany said, when he was on that bed crying, I literally blurted out, you just asked Jax, you hope that, and then you pause, you were like, does that make me like an effed up person? Because this is what you wanted. You didn't want the child to make it. And the child did not make it. And you went over there to Tony's house and you were surprised that she was making arrangements for this child. And the thing about it was, you didn't want anyone to find out, because I think I said it earlier. One of the reasons that I feel like he wanted no parts of it, because now the public is going to know. And if she goes all the way, we're putting it like in the bulletin or the newspaper, it's going to be you. So now you're going to have to explain this to your children. So no, I don't think it was what he didn't have time. Lewis didn't care. The thorn in his side was gone. He didn't have no remorse. I can't see my child in the casket. So you think she was gonna have an open casket for this baby? No, she wasn't. She was not gonna do that. A little memorial service, maybe 30 minutes, and that's it. You didn't want to have to deal with the embarrassment, because it was gonna be public that was gonna be there, and people who didn't know you were the father, and now they were gonna know. That's all that was to me.
Yeah. Nasty work.
When I think about the scene as a whole, it reminds me of that episode of Insecure when we find out that Lawrence is having a baby with Constitution. And
no, you didn't.
I love y'all. Y'all's my people, I swear.
That is hilarious.
And I love, when they do like the behind the scenes and she says it kind of taints him. And I think, to me, this taints Lewis, because as Ali said, it is the embarrassment. As Brittany said, it's the, I can go back in the shadows. No one has to really know my dirt. But yet, for Jax, it was all displayed. We knew she got kidnapped by Damon. We knew that they had a situation. We knew that they had some kind of involvement beyond just she was a former, client of hers. Versus this here, it goes underneath the rug. It gets swept away. But then you want to put a picture and a whole portrait of me and his baby, on the easel at the gravesite. I don't want that. And so I'm like, this is why I'm like, Lewis, this taints you. Because if this was not, because you talking about I want to be a father, is this not your child at the end of the day? Like, you planted the seed, it sprouted, grew roots, and here's the fruit. So take care of what needs to be taken care of. But now it's all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, I don't want to really be there. And I mean, two things can be true, but this right here, I'm like, no, sir, it's kind of effed up how you don't at least want to mourn your child, unless those tears that was it. Which to me is like, that's all you're gonna do for this baby. You were screaming and carrying on about because your wife is a lawyer. Could easily just put up a custody agreement and go about your life, and that's why you wanted to be.
Ooh.
Mm.
And even to like dig further into that, and it's these, as you said it, Ellie, it's these Zachary Taylor Lewis Negroes that's just, I fear that me learning from my 20s is the worst thing that ever happened to you mediocre and below ass. Because, okay, me learning was the worst possible thing that could have ever happened to you hoes. Because in addition to the understanding of, on a personal level, you losing a child and the grief that comes with it for you as a person, go into what you were saying, Edify, about how Jackson's stuff is on front and blast and cool. The amount of effort the man who don't ever give no effort was putting into maintaining the purity of his reputation, to me now pulls me to a like, well, are you doing this so that you can maintain moral high ground? Are you doing this to maintain reputational purity over her so that when anything comes out, it looks like you are the great guy? And I struggle with men who are so hell-bent on maintaining a reputation of being a great guy, but don't have the actual actions to back up or support you actually being a great guy. And I would lean into like the intentionality of it, of even you and I, Allie, when we get on here and like, let's talk about sisters. We are so willing to share our very real experiences to let people know, like, yo, we've been there. We've experienced X, Y, and Z. This is why I'm speaking from this particular place. There is no trying to maintain situational purity and like look down upon the person or create some type of distance. I'm not even convinced that you're fully invested in this marriage because you won't even allow yourself to be dirtied by your own actions the way that your wife has to eat all of the consequences of hers. It's a word. I fear.
That's a whole word.
And he had absolutely no issue making sure she was publicly embarrassed when they were having their original issues in season 1. The fact that his brother had all the audacity to come and lay all of her mess at her feet when they were supposedly in a better place and had went through. I was like, first of all, it's something in the DNA in that line, so all the things are wrong. But like, how did you have all the gall and audacity to keep up appearances and then get mad when it's not working? And for the love of all that is good, I know we were like, Jax and Corey shouldn't have been a thing, but to see all of the men standing side by side and doing a comparison of their actions, Corey at least stood 10 toes down in the fact that he was a hoe. And he was a hoe that pleased people. It wasn't a selfish hoe. He was like, I'm here to service. You need some Chinese food? Here's some Chinese food. Let me make sure you eat while I decide how I'm going to play this game. And he did not. I mean, everybody stood authentically. And I think that's my biggest issue with Lewis is he didn't even seem to know who he was authentically. So he was wishy-washy and shifting in every area of his life. And that's the part that really blows because Jax is on this journey to authenticity. She's on this journey becoming her very real self and and I've been in that situation too, having to attest with the fact that my real self and your current self don't mesh anymore. Yes, objectively we're supposed to stay together, but like it's not going to serve us long term. So we can put band-aids on it, we can put makeup on the pig, but this marriage is essentially a pig. Like, let's get out of the mud, let's go on about our lives, and let's do better things, because you're watching a grown man not take accountability for who he is or his identity. And he's shape-shifting. Those people are dangerous.
Word. Go ahead, Allie.
I know that's I mean, Brittany just spoke a whole word. And it goes back to what I said earlier. Like, people like Lewis scare me. Like, legit scare me, because you can do so much. And it's one of those things where you don't even really know who you are, because You're like a chameleon. You conform and fashion yourself to whatever the situation is at that time. Whatever benefits and serves Lewis, that's what he does. Even going back to what Edify said, he went to that woman to say, at the least, I'm a father. I want to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm a father. But when the situation doesn't benefit you anymore, you do what you do. It's no longer beneficial. I'm going to find a way to back up out of this. That's just what Lewis does when it's no longer beneficial or when it's not panning out how he desires. I'm going to back out. It doesn't serve me. Going to a funeral for my child doesn't serve me because now people are going to be able to see that I am not the golden child. And I don't want that for myself. So no, I'm not doing that, and I'm gonna use the excuse that I can't see my son in the casket. You left your whole family, and you use the excuse, well, my wife won't make a decision to be a wife, so because she won't do that, my children have to suffer. Lewis is one of the most selfish characters I have ever seen in my life, but he is a reflection of so many men who I know in my life. And that's just the scary part. He's I would say if
Such an
anybody
accurate
comes across a
depiction.
Lewis, you need to run in the
Ooh.
other direction.
Such an accurate depiction.
I
My
have a
word.
question.
Mm-hmm.
Have we talked about Sally's husband, Chris, yet? That's his name, Chris?
Oh no, we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, just asking.
Mm-mm.
Just asking.
We
Just
can
asking.
go there. We can go there, friend.
Okay,
My
because
thing with the funeral, though, we didn't get a baby shower or a funeral, so there were no black people meatballs, no hors d'oeuvres, nothing. This was doomed from the beginning.
you're right. You're right. It was because I was like,
Oh
he
my.
didn't.
She just got
For a
some
little-
Costco
for a little
flowers.
tink
That's
tink.
it. That's it.
Not even
I
a
just came to
Corbicon?
dance for y'all. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Not Lewis with this big ebony energy. I can't.
Okay, so I was thinking about this on the drive home today about Chris and Sally and out of all the relationships in the entire series, theirs to me I feel the most sorrow for because I was asking a friend of mine about, well, how do you as a spouse, because he would have been protected underneath spouse privilege if she would have told him what happened, about Chanel and the daughter. He would have been protected. So why didn't she tell him? And at the end, when they were like, "We want to," she says reconcile. He says uncouple, and I'm like, ooh. So I'm like, maybe he out the door. So I'm wondering, like, is Chris justified in wanting to uncouple? One, and then where does Sally possibly go wrong in the dynamic outside of course, putting the house up for Chanel's bail? And can they reconcile if he really wanted to?
That's a lot of
That's a lot of
questions,
questions, I know. This is what goes. That's what goes into my mind because he was in the car when they go into, I guess, to the hearing. He was like, "Us talking is causing more problems," and he even said, "Sally, I'm your husband. You should have told me what's going on." And I'm like, when you handling people's deeds and where we gonna live, that's a huge problem, Sally. Yeah, you should have told him. He was protected anyway under privilege.
Yeah.
And so then I also thought about like even last season when he got that JT freak off, well the pre JT freak off party, and he was hanging out there talking to the men, and then he's like, "I'm gonna get out of here, Lewis." He's like, "All right." He's like, "Lewis, you should maybe leave too."
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, like, so JT, sorry about JT, what's his name? What's it? Chris. Did you know the whole time he was dipping and tipping? Did you know the whole time he was dipping and tipping on Chanel? And does that also taint you to an extent?
Well, Fran, we didn't address the first questions you didn't laid out before we can get to that.
Oh, no,
but I think all of them are brilliant.
yeah.
Like there are so many brilliant things to dive into. Yeah. I think that Chris is 100% valid in his feelings, in his decision. I personally liken Sally to Lewis, just in female form, honestly. And I know we didn't get to see nearly as much of her in the capacity that we got to see this season, like in season 1, but it feels a lot alike in reference to intentions with certain decisions being made in the betrayal, which is ultimately the thing, which is, for me, another thing that just reverberates. Like the baby is inconvenient, as it pertains to Lewis, but it is not the actual problem. The betrayal is the lack of the my inability to move forward in life and actually be able to trust you, but you were supposed to be my person and my partner. And that is exasperated because you decided that you couldn't trust me. And I think that's something that's very real to that. Y'all want to, let's break it down. The validation point. Do y'all feel like he's valid in his decision to uncouple with her?
Yeah. My bad, y'all.
Absolutely.
It's okay.
Yes, absolutely. He is more than validated. Yeah.
Brittany?
I honestly don't realize. I was wondering why they were wasting that therapist time. Like nobody asked for the Sally additional pieces in the last couple of episodes. I think that's when my ratings dropped a little bit because I didn't want the Sally sex scenes. I didn't want all those things, especially since really her piece was just to keep us off of the trail of who killed JT in my mind. Now I'm not in writing, but as a person watching the show, her character irked me so bad that I was like, if a divorce has to happen, just make it happen so she can get off the screen because we're wasting time. We got to figure out who killed this man. We got to figure out when Jackson's going to get reported. We need to get Lewis out the way. So quite honestly, I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to them, but I do feel Chris was justified in wanting to uncouple because she's been moving like she didn't have a husband this whole time. Why act like now you want to step into that position? And I feel like I am coming with a lot of heat for the ladies in the show, so I'm trying to like tamper it down just a bit. But it's just she was deeply problematic. And if we needed to have another, I mean, did we really need to have another Lewis type character to show?
I think
like,
we did.
Yeah.
When you point to the writing part of it, I think for the writing specifically to be as masterful as it has been, while Sally is definitely annoying AF, she needed to happen because we're speaking to themes, actions, like behaviors, and those things are universally like right or wrong or gray, right? And to see certain things materialize with Sally, it helps you like, he's actually wrong. And honestly, I would look at women in the audience who will justify what Lewis is doing, but then demean Sally and like, well, wait a minute, honey. Is it wrong or is it wrong? Is it betrayal or is it betrayal? Why can we forgive the man, but then we can't forgive the woman, which to me, again, is a part of the masterfulness of what conversations this show actually pulls out, because then that becomes a conversation not just about how they're navigating in their relationships, but how the audience is receiving it in the patriarchy.
I hear you, and I'm with you when you're right, and you're never wrong.
Okay, yeah. The next question. Oh, yeah. Did you have something you want to add, Ellie?
No, you said it perfectly as far as why Sally was needed, because I think, and it's so interesting because I've listened to, or I've tried to listen to other reviewers who reviewed this show, and it's interesting because Sally is never even a topic. She's not even a point of discussion when she's doing the same things that Lewis is doing.
Yeah.
So it's like either like people may not be paying attention to her, or I have no words for Sally because she's dead wrong, but Lewis is trying. So I love the fact that the writers use her character, even though she's a minor character, but use her character to display how a lot of mindsets were so quick and easy to forgive the man. But yeah, this woman over here, she needs to rot in hell for what she did to her family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It helps set the context. Your next question was edify. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
I asked several. I do. I think we asked about, I said the biggest question I also asked was, is Chris also possibly tainted because he knew about the JT breakoffs? And did he also know about potentially JT? We know about JT's cheating, also possibly the potential abuse of Chanel by JT as well.
I don't feel like any of them knew except for Sally about the abuse, but I could be wrong.
That's how I feel. I don't feel like anyone knew except as far as the abuse, except for Sally. I feel like they all knew about the cheating. Because he's having parties where he's freaking off, and I think to me, we use the term he's a good man, Savannah. I feel like Chris is the good man of the show as far as like the the main characters and who they're connected with. He makes me think about that man who knows that his friends may be cheating, and he's trying to talk to them or persuade them, like, hey, you need to get your life together. This is your wife. She's do more than that. Even when he was trying to tell Lewis, like, all right, Lewis, I'm about to go. You might want to leave with me. You might want to go too. Like, you can't make another grown person do something, but hey, I'm nudging you because after 6 o'clock, this turns into a different type of party.
Yeah.
You need to go. He strikes me as that type. But your second question, Edify, was like, where did Sally go wrong in her communication? Like, what could she have done to communicate to Chris as far as like what happened? Like, what could she have done better? I think that was
Actually
one of the questions we
communicate.
asked before we got to that. Yeah, right. That was. Why are we on the same page? I'm like, that's a talk. Say so.
She, just like Lewis, has so many opportunities. Even after putting the house up. I know you told me not to put the house up, but I know who actually did it, and I didn't know what to do. Like, even in that moment, that could have saved your marriage. That could have saved, and offered you up some excuse in reference to the momentary lapse in judgment and lapse in trust, but then invigorate that for him and then bring him in on it. You're spending the rest of the damn season shucking and jiving after making this mistake, not communicating, and then also resenting him for resenting you. Man, I got a lot of pet peeves and a lot of goddamn triggers, but when I tell y'all at the top of the goddamn heap is somebody who gets mad at me when I'm mad at them. And you're only mad at me because I'm mad at you. Are you stupid? Are you dumb? This is not how that works.
Peak narcissism is what narcissists do. They blame the victim for treating them for the decisions and the actions that they did to you. Like, I'm calling out that you hurt me, and you're gonna say, how dare you tell me that I hurt you, because I'm not that person. I think, to your point, when it comes to Sally and Chris, Allie, you said something and it made me think, why is it that that's where they stop in holding each other accountable? I know we're not men folk, Allie and Erica. And if you want to speak to your friends, you can try. But why is that where they stop? They always do, I'm trying to help, but I'm going to stay out of it. When you know they did wrong, like if you knew the freak offs were happening, you should have had Sally like, hey, your cousin is in a situation. If Sally's not is it Sally? Yeah, Sally. If Sally's not communicating with you that she knows she's getting her tail kicked, you can at least communicate like, I know her husband out here cheating. Why is bro code over top of the marital piece? Like, men do better by holding your friends accountable, because we are out here fighting for our lives.
Ooh, okay. Okay. I'm treading lightly into this water. Extremely lightly, because I will not.
I'm sorry, Fred. Didn't want to put you on the spot.
It's okay. It's something I'm used to. But I'm treading really lightly. I got my floaties on my arms in case I need to swim out this deep water, and my tube around me because it's some deep water. Oftentimes think that I think there's both guy code and girl code, but they're executed differently. But I will speak only to the man code, since that's what I'm talking about. You all can speak to the women code if you wish to. With regarding man code, why we necessarily don't really tell, it comes to sometimes the point of, that's your business. If you get caught, that's on you. I can only do so much to protect you if you're not willing to protect yourself. That's a part of it. But if you're my friend.
But are we speaking about telling Chanel or telling Sally? Because I get the resistance to like run and tell Chanel, do you know this is going down in your house? But I don't get the resistance of telling your partner, like, yeah, I was at JT's house, but I left by this time because you already know that this is actually going down. And what do you think that we need to do? How can we help your cousin? Do we need to have more date nights with them? Do we need to have them over? Like, what do they need? Do they need to see what this look like? Because I think we got a good thing, and I don't understand. Like, I feel like it could be more of that from men. And that's something that I think that women might do. In what you were saying about like woman code. It's like, but see, we be trying to fix everybody's goddamn problems. And I know that's not one of my damn problems, but that's what comes up for me of like, if you've decided that you're going to be in this, but you also cheating on your man. I'm like,
And see,
I'm like trying to show you, like, I'm trying to support you, girl, but also I would be one of the friends of like, I can show you how great monogamy is. And like, this can't be your steady state, honey. Like, this is gonna have to be a season or something, Miss Mamas. And my husband will know. So he never gets it confused that I might go back. This hoe might be my ace boom, but I'm not her. That would always need to be clear for me. So my husband would know everything.
And to that point, Erica, that's what I mean. It wasn't so much that he needs to go tell Chanel, like, your husband out here wilding, but his whole thing about being mad that Sally knew what was going on with Chanel and didn't tell him because they were, in his mind, they were such strong partners in their marriage or whatever the case may be. It was like, again, the whole Lewis's lies started unfolding, but Jax got to see his lies for herself. These people are mad now because it's like, oh, Sally's lies are starting to unfold, and you a whole different wife than I thought you were. And so a lot of his anger wasn't just that she put up the house. It was that she lied about a whole lot of things that he thought they actually had deeper conversations with. And as men, with other men, a lot of the issues that we are having these conversations about is because men aren't checking their friends. They're not like, yo, you are better than this. Like, let's step up. And that's a generalization. I know most do, but I'm like, why do they stop at a certain level of, all right, I kind of tried to tell you, but you're gonna have to learn for yourself. And then they never learn. Like,
let's see.
And I'm curious if Chris ever had a conversation with JT, because I feel like that if it happens, that's not something that ever gets depicted. When y'all telling me that you trying and all of this as a man, like if there's men who come up in the comments later of like, we do be trying, what are the conversations that you're having? Because also, like, not to make excuses for JT in any way because he was a damn monster, where is his damn village? Where's his homeboys to like, yo, what, you need help, dude? Like, you got some with you, even if you don't seeing him knock her head off, but like there are certain things that have to be still that he can't hide. And if you're not speaking to that, that's also part of it.
Okay. So what I was saying about it's your business, that was, to me, in my mind, Chris talking to JT about like, hey, I think if you watch the episode when they have the JT the pre freak off party, he's trying to talk to him about infidelity and being faithful, all those kind of things. I believe I want to think he was doing those things with the group. I think sometimes often in male learning specifically, there is you gotta fall down, and I gotta, like you ever see kind of like if you see like some dads when they parent, they'll let you fall and they're like, you're fine, get on back up.
Yeah.
And that may possibly be part of that process where it's like, I will be here to help you pick up the pieces, but I'm telling you, you need to hold it this kind of way. When you like hold it like this so you don't drop it. And JT, of course, obviously dropped it. So I think maybe that was his kind of sort of way. I don't think JT has a village, to your question. I don't think JT actually has a healthy, strong male village. It might have been Lewis and Chris. And if that's all that it was, then you know how the village honestly is.
Well, see, I would also speak to the lack of ability for a lot of men to really cultivate strong like communities. Like I think that is a very big area of opportunity for y'all. When I look at the conversations around the male loneliness epidemic, and it's all women's fault that all these men are lonely these days. Is it my fault that you can't actually have friends? Is it my fault that you can't speak vulnerably about how you feel? Is it my fault that you can't ask for help? None of that shit is my fault. I got my homegirls. I call Allie the other day. Allie, I need you to tell me if I'm crazy.
I will say, I don't want to monopolize. I will say, thankfully, I have a strong circle of both men and women that are around me daily. I mean, like we check in regularly. Like I'm going through something right now, and with the family, my best friend every day was, "How are you? What's going on? What do you need? Do you need me to come over? Do you need me to spend time with you?" Like checking in. All of them were just like, "Bro, how are you? How was this? How was that?" So I'm very thankful to have that. I know that is a rarity.
I'm glad my best friend that.
Thank you. I noticed I was like since I was like kindergarten, so that's like my brother pretty much. But he can check me, and he has duck his behind his foot. I was in my ass behind on so many different occasions when I'm wrong. And he's like, when you're wrong, you're wrong. I love you, but you're wrong. And these are the reasons why you're wrong. And I'm like, well, damn, mother. So I think JT, because I gotta sit with it for a little bit, like, damn, mother. Okay, you're right, but I don't want to be okay. Fine, JT. I think because of his status, because of his tax bracket, because of his popularity, because of his celebrity, he does not have that type of accountability, and probably never would have had it. He's a football player. Look, he literally has all these parades about how much he was abusing Chanel, and they're like, this is about him. This is about Chanel. How she killed him. Not talking about he was abusive. He was a philanderer. He's out here maybe also got to break babies out here. He's abusive to the first baby mama. His mother's also an enabler. He had no one to say, JT, you're wrong. JT, there was no village to say, hey, yo. And I don't think, honestly, Chris would ever have had that, only being a cousin-in-law. And since we didn't really have a this is my brother like Lewis even had, even though that's a dynamic that we can go into, there wasn't anyone to say, hey, JT, you're wrong. Like, Chanel, what's up with these bruises on your face? JT, did you do this? There was no one to do that. And I look about all the movies where abuse happens, there may be a recognizing it, but until someone says, hey, this was going on, it's only deduction and an hypothesis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
We hear you. I think it's an area of opportunity for growth, definitely, and maybe, as we look at the depiction, that's why I love this show too. Not to jump ahead, but with how they depict relationships beyond just romantic relationships, because we fall into so many shows where it's just about the ships of who's sleeping with who and who's dating who. But to see how important and integral community is in this show and how it can either hold up and strengthen people, or it can really exasperate their pitfalls and show you, like, without having the right people in line, without having the right people in position, you can have all of the greatest opportunities, the greatest everything, but your life on the inside, your personal life, can still be in complete shambles. And how to then, as a community, address these gaps in our community so that we don't crumble internally and then have to turn around and still face these external fights that we're facing, since go America for the people that are here in America.
Child, that part.
So I think they did.
Hold on, before you go though, Edify, let her finish, and I want to interject something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Yeah,
I was going to say, I'm with you now, understanding why Sally was also necessary. Because even as a side character, like, having her be somebody's person to go to, and seeing how picking the right people to be your people is important. Like, this show taught a lot of lessons that if you go back and watch it again, it's like, I missed that completely. So I love this time to talk about it, by the way, because I don't have these people. So thank you. Okay.
Of course. Listen, y'all are my people as well. I told Allie, Allie, I need you on live, honey, because I need to I didn't get all my off, honey. And she's like, it's okay, I got you. But to that point, and this is not in any way me attempting to draw a direct line, or not, it is a direct line, actually. It just might be a very distant one. This is not me directly equating apples to oranges in reference to what I'm about to say. However, however, comma. If we're talking about accountability, we're talking about community, specifically as it pertains to Black men, and JT never had that. Now, once he arrived to a certain place, he wasn't always at that place. So I think that there's also something to be said about the dire need for y'all to be cultivating systems and expectations of accountability with one another now. And that is why it is so important, I think, that we see people actually hold Lewis's ass to the fire and hold him accountable for his behavior, hold him accountable for his lies, hold him accountable for how he's showing up, and not let him off the hook with he has this potential and, oh, he's trying. Because yes, he's not knocking Jax's head loose, but he is exacting abuse, mental and emotional, that he doesn't actually need to be doing, that is not actually beneficial to him, and is still deeply harmful. And I think that men getting to a place where they can actually identify when they themselves or men around them are showing up just enough or not even enough, and being able to speak to that could be a powerful shift within our community.
Facts. I always admire, honestly, especially Black television, specifically around women, because I think you all are out the space to be fully yourselves and different dynamics of how you all come into the world. They may not always be the best representation, but they try to do their best to get you all on point. I mean, we don't have that as men. I was gonna say, I think the best male friendship dynamic in the Black cinema space, for me at least, is probably gonna be Kyle and Overton from Living Single. That's how I see it. Regarding accountability, brotherly love, I got your back. I'm gonna tell you when you're wrong. It's not always gonna be perfect, but we're gonna work things out, work things through. That's kind of what I've always kind of appreciated, and we think we need to. I just think we need to see more of it.
Feel like the male friendships that you see are not true to life?
I think not all the time. No, I think they're like, I tried to watch Tyler Perry's Bruh, and I was like, this is trash.
But that's trash for other reasons. That's trash for the writing. I think that it's spot on in the gaslighting of each other and the bigging up of each other and ignoring the shortcomings of each other. Like, I personally feel like not half. I don't know how much percentage I would give, but a lot of the things that women struggle with in relationships to men is because some other man co-signed it and said, yeah, do that. And no, I don't know y'all's life and all that, but I know y'all just get together, and there's so many men to this day, my age and older, still performing for their homeboys, but you're making decisions in a relationship with a woman that you're not even fully considering. So while I would love to see, yes, what you're saying of like more Kyles and Overtons, I personally, looking at the landscape, I don't see no lies as it pertains to y'all. And that part to me might be the unfortunate thing, but I appreciate it because this is what we're actually experiencing.
One show that does a great job, and it's the only show that I've seen, and I wish the show got more recognition, is the show Johnson. I don't know if you guys have ever watched it, but on Bounce. But it is a great show. It's called Johnson. I think they're on their 3rd season. And it's a show specifically about brotherhood, holding each other accountable. They're going through their mess, but it is a great show to watch. So if you ever get an opportunity, check out that show.
I will. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it as a whole. There are some co-signings. There are a lot of things I think as navigating the space of being Black and being in America, that is being a Black, being American, and male, it's layered and trying to show up healthy, and it's a lot of unpacking and unpeeling that has to be done. I have to do this even with myself, with my friends. Like, am I being a better friend? Am I participating in something that's possibly emotionally harmful, even if it's not physically harmful? And being mindful of my words, asking, hey, what do you need as a friend? I had someone say something to me at my job, and I was like, and it hit me heavy. And I had to sit back and be like, am I supporting her as a Black man? Am I not supporting her as a Black man? Am I not there for her? In what ways am I doing this? Like, we in this corporate space, and she done told me something, I've done something to her that I didn't even recognize. I got to sit back with it for a bit. And I'm going on a tangent, which I apologize.
No, I think I think that what you're speaking to is exactly that. But that to me puts you in a very, 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 very small minority, my friend. A beautiful one, but a small minority. Because we're still battling with men and women to get for the right to be able to hold men accountable. The way women are lighting me up for the things that I'm saying about Lewis, like, we are far from the majority of, like, a Black woman told me at my job today that I did not have her back with X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to sit with that because I'm trying to figure out how I can better show up for her. We are so far from that being the mass thing. It's kind of ridiculous. I love that you're doing it, and I love it for whoever you work with. But we are quite literally so far from that because we are still defending fictitious lies and narcissism, which means that we're still trying to greenlight it in real life, which is why we're defending it so hard serially. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense.
It sucks for y'all in the minority because y'all don't have greater representation of the people who are now shifting and awakening. But I think that will probably be on par with some of the Black women who are trying to ascend and operate in a higher version of themselves are also experiencing. It's personally why I'm so obsessed with Jax as this flawed, beautiful, amazing character, because she's really as close as possible while still being like, girl, sometimes you really are tripping and not articulating all of her things. She is so close to performing how a lot of us are forced to show up in real life.
I had nothing to say.
But I want to think on it. I want to think about the men's relationship and if y'all are not actually being shown correctly, because I don't think I watched the show yet, and I watched Bruh.
I can't do Bruh. I tried. I was like, nah, this ain't for me. This ain't my people. This ain't my friend group.
It's terrible, but I'm a Black woman who lives in LA. Them men exist. And I know they exist in Atlanta.
Them the ethnics, okay.
Them men that think that they fine and they God's gift to women because they fine and they got a good job, and you can't tell them nothing. They exist. They're running around now, shitting on women.
Your girl over here is struggling in this military town because that's all military men seem to think they are is God's gift.
Baby, he got benefits. He think he own one. Not a stitch of effective communication or emotional intelligence in sight, but I got a pension, ho. Okay.
And I feel like the minority because I have been very fortunate and blessed to be around Black men who are extraordinary men.
All of them?
And it has really, majority, yeah. I would say about 95%. Yeah, about 95%. And it's crazy because they're really good men. I couldn't date them because, our spiritual beliefs are different. And I couldn't do that part of it. But as far as them just being great men, and a lot of it started from childhood for the most of them. Childhood, they had present fathers who taught them, who was emotionally intelligent. So I have conversations with them and their minds are just different. When you have been raised from a baby to protect Black women above all, to listen, to be assertive, to look at someone dead in the eye, the way they maneuver through life is so vastly different than some of the men I've come across, just, in my lifetime. But it's so interesting. Like when I watch, like, I'm What You Edify, I Can't Do, Bruh. So when I look at certain men, I'm like,
thank you, Allie.
Yeah, I'm like, I met you when I was 20. You were just somebody I had fun with, but I would never, ever date you. And I think that sadly in media, even though it may be a minority of men who think a certain way and move a certain way, they still exist.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they still should be exhibited. They should be displayed. But I think it's so easy to create the toxicity, the drama, and we're gonna put that out there. When there's a whole nother sect of Black men who desire to see themselves on television and on screen, and they don't. Because every Black man don't function like that. Every Black man ain't just trying to hit everything walking. No, there are some Black men who I know who are celibate because they refuse to have sex with a woman who's not where she need to be for him.
Allie, where are these niggas at? Allie, we have talked about a lot of things, friend, but you have not dropped the location.
I was about to say, drop the pin in the chat.
Tallahassee, Florida. Now I know you got Florida State and you got Florida A&M University, but when I tell you the intellectual Black men who are walking up and down Tallahassee, Florida, they out there. And even some of my friends in I live in the Tampa area in Florida, like Riverview and all these little suburban areas. You got people out here who are about something, but the thing is, you have to go to where they are. Like you ain't gonna meet them in the grocery store. Like you got to be out and about. Go to the little poetry readings. Go to the little meetups at the library. Some women still think they gonna meet their man in the club. Maybe you will, but I'm not. Mine ain't gonna
I
be in the
don't know,
club. Mine gonna be
friend.
reading a book somewhere.
I was just at the library and there wasn't nobody in there.
Hello.
I
But
was just
I also live in LA.
You
So
go to
it's
the
almost
library?
a wrap. Like Jesus is gonna have to hand deliver his ass to me here in LA because
Mm-mm.
there's so much stacked against my ass here. Like it's kind of nuts.
Now, Brittany, when you go to the library, make sure that you attend those little session things they have when they have an author come in, when they have like special engagements going on at the library. That's when you need to go.
I just need to figure out where Corey Cash spends his time. Just bringing it back.
But that psychology lady, yeah, that
Oh,
pissed me off too.
Erica, you spoke about it earlier today. I'm not to derail the conversation,
no, you're
but
fine.
that scene where Corey was like when they were smoking, it wasn't the finale, it was last week, but they were smoking and he was giving her the black and mild and she got the text from Lewis and was like, I'm sorry, my husband's baby was born. The record scratch that was Corey Cash, like, wait a minute, you got a husband that got somebody else pregnant and you going to see the baby be born? The disappointment that covered that man to
Mm-hmm.
then see her run up on him and like, wait, this your husband? This is the man that blocked my afternoon. I was so disappointed for him too. I was like, that's what we all feel. Corey, we are all over here screaming at her like, Jax, girl, what?
Facts.
What?
To your Brittany, I love that you said that because Erica, I want to ask you this question and to everybody else. That moment right there, do you think that that was the straw that broke the camel's back for Corey for him to believe that Jax is not who I thought she was? She's
Mm.
not the woman who I thought, so it's easy
Wait,
for
which
me to
part?
go
The black and
to.
mild part or this part where she's in the
My husband baby was just born and I'm about to go see it. Because he
I
was looking
don't.
like, what the hell? You don't think so?
I don't think that broke this. I don't think no.
Okay.
And I kind of
May
want
I
to.
come
I'm gonna
in?
say more. I'm gonna say more once they say because I have thoughts just as a writer and like the more I sit with it, the more I feel like they set themselves up so beautifully for what they could do in season 3. Go ahead, Edify.
Um, to answer your question, Allie, no. I think we've seen Jax. I think we've seen Corey specifically always have a admiration about Jax. From the time he saw her and smoke that cigar in the cigar bar, he was like, "Oh, I can rock with you." And when the Black and Miles, it was like we got more in common than just us being dope ass lawyers in these bomb ass clothing. And look at finals we do. We smoke, you smoke. Okay, we good. I think for him, it was the moment when when Chanel got her verdict, and she was gonna come, and he was looking at, and Chanel was not Chanel, Jack was gonna hug him, and she pulled away to go to Lewis, and Lewis looked back like this nigga. That's the moment he was like, I guess I gotta move on because ain't nothing else here. She gonna stick beside him, and that's why he went on to the psychology lady, which I'm still mad about. But yeah,
Go ahead, Brittany.
I'm mad about it.
We gonna talk about
Corey
it.
looked like you have got to be kidding me. And he had the mushroom Gumby fade this time. He didn't have his normal like carrot top hair. He was like, you are kidding me. This is the Lewis that had you out here looking real simple and stupid with this baby side. Like this is the Lewis that you was crying over and I can't. Hey Corey, hey, thank you for putting it back on the screen. Cause hey, but look at this. Look this. What? He was like, you cannot be real. This cannot be real life. I do believe something changed for him and he saw what we've been talking about too, where Jax is super powerful at work and is still working to fill in the things that were lost being married to Lewis for so long. So it was almost like he saw the not the childlike, but like the trauma side of, oh, Jax, you got some personal business that I can't get involved with this right now. Maybe sometime down the line or whatever the case, but he had this look on his face in that moment where it was like, you are this badass woman at work, and I am drawn to that person, but to see the weakness that Lewis brings out of her kind of made him look like, let me step back a little bit. Maybe this is not the right time, because now I know why you couldn't go, like, take the autonomy and take from this whole situation what you really wanted out of that situation. Because he was like, I know you wanted it, but I respect you for walking away. I was like, you know what, Corey? Pop your collar and talk your ish. I mean, we love to see it, but also, Jax, Lewis, I hate that we're back here, but that's kind of how I saw it,
I
Allie.
feel like, if anything, he's even more attracted to her after that. And I think that the moment of her going to like hug Lewis versus hugging him was like, ugh. But I don't know. I internalize or like imagine him deciding to like fall back because he realizes that she's fully in control and there's nothing else that he's going to be able to do to shift her. But he's still very much so attracted to her. And I am leaning into like, he's deciding to date the domestic violence expert, not because he's fully attracted to her. He even says, like, how did I not notice or see you for real? We've been working together for over a decade. Because you don't like her, but he's supposed to. So he's taking a crack at whatever the hell he's supposed to occupy his damn time because Jax don't actually want him. I don't think that he was moved in the slightest. If anything, I feel a little bit like concerned of like, okay, wait, is this for him? Like when women tell men all the ways that the previous man hurt them, and then that just creates a little barometer so they know where to stay within and what you were willing to take. I was like, I hope that that's not that for him, but I don't think that he's turned off at all.
He don't like her to the fullest spot.
Wait, what'd you say?
I was saying it's going to be interesting to see in season 3 how they write this, because I guess I'm leaning more along the lines of something shifted with him in that moment. But I mean, I think of course, yeah, he's still attracted to her, but I think seeing Lewis after knowing what had transpired and the fact that she's still choosing him, we know because she feels that's what she's supposed to do. He doesn't know that, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see Corey Cash and Jackson season 3 of Reasonable Doubt.
And you don't think, Elliot, any of it could be like any of his response in getting with the domestic violence expert could have been piqued by that? Because he's watching Jax do something that she should be doing and not leaning into what she shouldn't be doing. And now all of a sudden he magically making a decision to be with the girl that should be on paper, should be perfect for him.
That could possibly be an indication of something. I think that with I wish I knew her name, but with Homegirl Essence and Corey, I think that I'm not saying that he likes her, like he's so enthralled with her. I believe there is an attraction, but I also believe that he feels like, Jax is made a decision that she is fully committed to her husband. So I'm not gonna just sit here and wait for her. I'm gonna do what I do. And so why not start with, Homegirl over here? And then I also wonder, what does Corey actually want? Does he want commitment? I don't think he views this woman as just another person to run up in.
Yeah. I think he's going to give the committed relationship a try, but I think that he still very much so wants Jax. And he's doing this because he can't have Jax.
I feel like that. I feel like he definitely still is like how am I trying to say it? He's still attracted to the idea of Jax, but he is now understanding like Jax picked this goofy ass man and it's gonna stay like committed to him. And so I could almost see Corey being like, it's only a matter of time, because now that I done seen him, I done put eyes on him, I done saw his little goofy pants and his little funny sweater that he wore to court, and I see this little haircut, like he was actually there too. I'm watching this and he's like, you know what, you just not ready for me yet, because you have to deal with whatever this is. but when this fails, I'll be back.
I'll
Like,
be here.
I got
That's
options.
exactly what
I'll
it feels
be-
like to me. That's exactly what it feels like to me. And Negroes love to be the savior. They love to save something. They love to feel like they doing something. And Jax won't let him do it in this moment, but he gonna be ready when she is. That's all it is.
Now, do you? I'm trying to figure out if they can even play the Corey card next season because of his
Watson?
relationship working with her.
Oh yeah. Child, I would write the hell out of it. I would write the hell out of it. And Essence can act, baby.
Yes, she can.
Because I'm like, who is Jax gonna call to be her lawyer? She can't represent herself in a criminal case where she's being charged, where her husband's being charged for killing a baby.
We'll see. I thought about that today. I don't know. I think. Well, first, Corey does not want Essence. She's a placeholder. And I'm sorry to call Essence that. I love me some Essence. But she's a placeholder because he can't have Jax. And like he did what I call the head turn. And I'm like, he don't really see her. He's just head turning. But I don't know who she would get to be her lawyer next season. I think if I'm PTA Ho, I'll try to hire Corey just to stick it to Jax.
I got a person. Erica, I told you this in a
afford
whole
him.
episode.
She can't. PTA Ho cannot afford him. She hanging on. She better get
Neither
the Kegels
could,
together because she need to find some more powerful, rich.
Neither could girl go in
peen.
jail.
No, Erica, I put it in a comment thread on another video of yours. I know who she need to call to be Jax's lawyer.
Who?
Laz Alonso.
Oh, you did. You did. You did.
That's great.
That is wonderful.
No,
and then it's the whole
in the same.
hello, because Corey's coming to say, why in the hell didn't you call me? And then loser ass Lewis is standing there with these two menses.
Talk about I'm that nigga. Lewis, sit down in the trash can where you belong. Please and thank you.
Lewis is standing there looking simple while Laz Alonso and Morris Chestnut stand there like, I'm a representer. I'm a representer. And he can't do shit but make a video game.
Make a video game. Oh my God.
Immediately, yes.
Someone said in the chat, Lewis was making Mario Kart. Have a good time.
Oh my God.
Woo!
If it's, but you know what? I thought about this as well. Jax will also need another antagonist. So if it's not Laz Alonso, I thought about a female attorney. With my friend, we were talking about maybe Joan Clayton. Actually, Joan Clayton. Maybe Tracy Ellis as a potential antagonist for her. Or maybe Gabby.
Edify was with you for like a whole 2 minutes, but Jax don't need no more struggles. No, this lawsuit finna be her antagonist. She don't need no more women.
That's real. Honestly, I think that's gonna be it. The lawsuit, because the way that Tony is going to try to paint her on a personal level, and her having to defend who she is. That's gonna be all she needs.
You know she gonna run back. She threatened me at the hospital in the parking lot, and she said she doesn't want to see me against her family.
I think it's brilliant because I think the first 2 seasons we've just seen Jax, of course, dealing with her personal life, but no one could deny who she was as a lawyer, so that was never called into question. But to see who she is as a person now being called into question, if they choose to go that route, I think that's going to be a beautiful thing to have for the 3rd season, is that Jax showing who she is outside of her clothing, outside of her being a lawyer, and defending the person. And I think that's going to even be an awakening for her because she really doesn't, we don't get a lot of context about who Jax is as a person.
Yep.
Just her. So I'm interested. That's gonna be amazing if they go that
I
route.
agree, Allie. I agree because like what you're like even piggybacking off of what you're saying, the amount of affirmation and validation she's going to have to find for herself to defend herself, that's going to be low key healing as she has to like make peace with certain things about her personality and how she chooses to go about things and how she chooses to think because she cannot be a part of the defense against herself. Like, but that's a natural state for a lot of Black women, right? We always have to like defend, so we are always picking ourselves apart. This is a season of like the lawsuit itself could be the antagonist, and we're gonna have to watch her fight tooth and nail to affirm everything about herself, especially the parts that she doesn't necessarily like, but they benefit her and have gotten her to a place of great success.
Yes,
You
and
know,
then we could see her say, "You know what? I am too good for you, Lewis. Corey, where were you for the last year? Let's go ahead and fix this problem."
oh man. You know what, Brittany? I thought the same thing. I was wondering if she goes through this whole journey of self-discovering, having all of her, failures brought back to her face, everything else. I wonder, will this be the end of her and Lewis? Will she be like, Lewis, this ain't working. I settled when I got with you. You bumped into me, you bumped into me at the stoplight, and you've been wrecking my life ever since. I'm done. I can't do it no more.
And let's add to this too, Erica, because I don't believe we done with Damon. Damon gonna come back and be like, "I approve." Go ahead with Corey. Just for you, because you know the writers pay attention and they want to make sure you happy, girl. And he gonna come back and be like, "Jack, see, I knew you had it. I knew you was gonna do it."
Wait, you say he gonna be like John Stewart and come up from the grave because he lives?
Just for
I can
me,
face
I
tomorrow?
wouldn't be mad at it, honey. I really wouldn't be mad at it.
All fear is gone.
It's a wrap for Lewis, for real, for real. If Damon come back in another vision and says, yes, you need to be with Corey, he's done. Did we hit everything, y'all? I think we did. I feel so much more complete now. I just felt like I didn't talk about so much and I didn't give y'all a chance to talk. So I'm like, oh, I got to do this right.
I am grateful for it because last time, watching the last finale episode, I was like, there's so much left to break out. You guys did a great live. I was like trying to, late night lives. I was like, girl, I'm old, but it was a great live. But there was so much in this. Even after the live, I went back and rewatched it, and I was like, there's just so many more nuggets hidden in this episode. They are masterful with this show. I'm grateful that they gave it to us, and I think they like to play in our faces with the good shows, so they better bring it back. And we already cast half the first season. The next season, we wrote half the storyline. Like, they don't even got to do too much work.
There you go.
Just call you in, cut you a check, make sure your people, make sure you covered. And then we can have more to discuss and showing that community building piece. But you brought about a great point. This is going to be affirming for her in so many ways, which is going to affirm so many other people. So. But yeah, I think the dumpster is full, so we need to have some great people in the next season. We can't recycle none of these people, so
Sally and Lewis are big. They too big in a damn dumpster.
That they are.
Oh, and also the mama.
And
Miss Pauletta. I respect you forever and ever, Miss Pauletta, but your character, it is forever on site with that hoe. Forever.
And Spencer's rap career, put that in the dumpster too, because we didn't ask for this.
Let that little boy dream.
Nah. I'm sorry, Eric. We can't let him dream. I said, you trying to be Usher Chris Brown with these old ass moves? Sir, we trying to pop, lock, and drop? Ain't nobody pop, lock, and drop it no more. Y'all don't even dance in your generation. What are you doing, sir? Creative arts or not? No, this is not High School Musical. Sit your ass down somewhere.
See, Spencer, this is what you get because we would have been supportive aunties and uncles had your ass not acted a fool with your mama. That's what this is right here.
I was wondering if they set that up because I didn't even think he was coming back for season 2. So I'm wondering if they're setting that up for him not to come back for season 3 because he's actually a recording artist. So that's why I was
Is
like,
he?
I wonder. Yeah, he's a yeah. I don't. I can't. I think he sings. And so I was like, I wonder if they setting this up for him not to be a part of season 3. Because the way that it
Well,
ended,
it
I
would
was
have
like,
been
because I
worthwhile
got
because then Naima gonna finally get a little bit more attention, so that's fine.
right,
Will she?
right.
Will she? Because with this lawsuit, Jackson, baby, I can't
Ooh,
take you to
that's
Taekwondo.
real.
I got to help your father with litigation. I can't do this. I'm stressed. My hand hurt. I can't talk, baby. I can't guide you to your little mall sessions. My hands hurt. Ask your grandmama. Baby, I can't. I'm with my new man, with my Beyonce on.
Edify, my hand hurt is diabolical. You should be ashamed yourself.
He had that brace on the whole
All
season.
season. And then we never
Go
got
to
an
a
explanation
chiropractor.
for it, did we?
No, we got chiropractor, acupuncture, massage therapist, hot stone treatment, cups. You got good insurance. Figure it out. I'm done.
Oh my goodness. Oh my word. Child.
But I am excited for Jackson's new hairstyle, though.
Y'all so
The
shady.
sad thing is, I'm gonna be going to work tomorrow. Talk about y'all got good insurance. Figure this out.
Lord. Whatever they decide to do, Spencer decides, or Spencer gets pulled off into the engine that is Hollywood, only to be returned in season 5 with a terrible ass contract his mama got to get him out of, or he didn't put his hands on the girl and now she got to come up. I'm fine with it. Jax affirming herself and winning this damn lawsuit, but then dropping Lewis's ass. I'm fine with it. Chris finding a new wife, and we actually get to see that. I'm fine with it.
Fine with it.
Naima getting a little bit more attention because I fear maybe the only redemption that Lewis could possibly have in my eyes is if he magically falls down, wakes up, and then becomes a great dad. And it would have to play out with Naima.
Erica, he already said he is a father. He doesn't seem to think he needs to improve on being a father. I'm sorry.
Then your ass is gonna stay in the dumpster, father.
Be in the dumpster, because what I believe is going to happen, being that, Edify made a great point, because, Jax and Lewis are being sued. So that's going to leave Naima out there by herself. And I fear she's going to become more rebellious than, because both of her parents are going to be busy with this situation here. And I think she already feels like she's in the background. It's even going to magnify. Now they got this mess going on here. And then she's going to find out about the baby. So that's going to cause even more of an issue. So I'm ready to see Lil Mama get more screen time, because I believe she has the ability to carry the emotional weight that's going to be required of her character come 3rd season.
Ooh, I just had a very sinister thought about next season. At least how it would probably maybe another story arc, because they already are talking about Naima doing things on the internet. So I'm wondering, was she either attract a predator of some sort, which is very, very real. And then I thought about this as well. I said, every season we get somebody transitioning on at the end of each episode. And I said, they done let this baby go on to glory. That's how they're going to make somebody, unaliving for the show. I said, they're going to make the baby go on? That's messed up.
It is.
That is the trend.
Polo Munchkin. Did we get a name for him?
Nope. Let Lewis tell it. He ain't need no damn name. The sooner we forget about him, the better. Damn heathen.
Trash human. Just trash.
Should have put that blood on the doorstop.
Child. Well, y'all, thank y'all for sounding off and calling in.
I'm sorry, y'all.
It's
Lord.
not me. I just finished a damn book talking about voodoo. I can't with you. I just anyway. thank y'all for joining me for this last live for Reasonable Doubt until we return. I still owe y'all a breakdown for the episode, which I actually am going to give. Bear with me because it's probably going to be long because I'm going to try to dig into as much as possible. Allie, do you talk about Reasonable Doubt on your channel?
Unfortunately, I did not, but I am going to do an overview.
Oh, okay.
Of the show. I'm going to do that. So it'll be out sometime this week, but I am going to do it.
Perfect.
Now that I'm back and got some power in my recording stuff.
Yeah.
Because all that stuff was. So yeah, I can get back to recording.
So y'all go and subscribe to @AllieNickOfficial. She also breaks down Sisters. She also does like back in the day and older Black films. She is a wonderful, wonderful content creator in the space of discussing relationships, love, and trauma as it plays out in various shows. So check her out if you haven't, if you're not familiar with her.
Will do. Have a good night. Thank you so much.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure as always.
Good night.
Yes. Really quick question, Erica.
What's up?
Have you ever covered Being Mary Jane on your channel yet?
I got one video up because I was going back and I was rewatching because I used to I didn't do it last year, but I used to rewatch. There's shows that I rewatch every year, like habitually. And Being Mary Jane was at least once or twice a year. I would rewatch it because I'm so obsessed with that damn show, and I'm so obsessed. Like there's a point in my life where I was like, I am literally Mary Jane and she is me. Aside from she just had way more niggas.
Oh no!
But now I'm telling my business. So I'm absolutely obsessed. I just haven't gone back. I haven't gone back to finish it. I think I only have 1 or 2 episode breakdowns, and I want to go each episode by each episode.
Okay, because I love Being Mary Jane. I know you spoke on it once by the time I wanted to cover it. I love that show. So if you ever cover it, please let's have a live because I would love to break that thing down. I love that she's a layeredly flawed character, similar to Jax.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but the way I think also her supporting cast are just as flawed and beautiful, especially that Lisa.
Jeez.
You can never have the op that don't know she an op.
Lisa ass stressed me out so bad, and there was just so much at the time that Being Mary Jane premiered. What was going on in my life, and various people lined up. Like that was a time. There will always be a special place in my heart for Mary Jane because the way that show literally just was a mirror for so much. Iconic. So yeah, we can definitely make that happen.
You all have a blessed night. Have a great night. Thank you, Erica and Allie, for being live. I do rewatch your Sisters Keepers because I can't catch y'all live because I'm not watching all the commercials for Sisters. I'm not doing that. I got to fast forward to the end. So I'm not going to never catch y'all after the show because I got to sit and sit with it. But keep doing what you all are doing. I'm glad that everything's going well with you where you are. Erica, please keep up the great and amazing work. You all have a blessed and amazing night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Allie, anything else that you want to plug before we get off of here, hon?
Well, I'm starting my back down memory lane where I talk about old, Black cinema. And also I'm gonna add TV shows. So I got a couple of things set up for Moesha, The Game, Girlfriends. And so I'm getting that back together because I love nostalgia and it's not many shows nowadays that I happen to enjoy. So I tend to watch a lot of old stuff from back in the day. So I want to start talking about that more and having those conversations. So y'all be on the lookout for that. And my sister's review dropped a few hours ago. So make sure y'all go listen to that if you haven't already.
Yes. Well, thank you, friend. Again, I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate you for closing this loop for me. Y'all don't know how desperately I was like, I need to do this live again and I need to say some certain things. And you were like, I got you, boo. And I appreciate it. Thank you, girl. I will talk to you later. Before I get out of here, I am going to go through this chat because I did not read a lot of the chat today, and I'm sorry about that, but I got you. Janelle said, I wish the writers would have given more context to Jax and her mother when Jax said her stepfather was grooming her. Her mother dismissed it. I felt the conversation could have been a moment. And it may still need to be because her mother still feels so very, very, very male identified. My God. But yeah, I would agree with that, Janelle. Brittany said I would agree with Allie regarding Naima, but Spencer and his new career put that rap career in the dumpster with his daddy. I can't. Suburbia Jones Effect. Hey boo, welcome in. Said Jax and her stepfather was kind of ambiguous. It was, but it was molestation. The Lawrence report was up in here. Hopefully you're still in here or you catch it on the replay. Hey Lawrence. Lewis was taking up space. I hope the daughter does get some attention. Soul Child says, I have heard of this show, but it wasn't until I saw my mom watching it and I watched a few episodes while she was doing my hair. I knew I had to go back and watch season 1. Yeah, it is that good. It is really that good. They did a phenomenal, phenomenal job. Jada says, I'm worried the ending of season 2 is giving weak start to season 3. A lawsuit, seriously? I could see that, but then when we unpack like what this lawsuit is going to mean for Jax, I think that is a very powerful place to put a Black woman to start the season off. I got that one already. Ramled the writer says, why was Jax willing to comply with Lewis's request to attend the alternative party to resurrect the spark in their relationship? Was that the first time? If so, how come she didn't express concern? I mean, a lot of times we go along to get along and we acquiesce to the request made on us because we don't want to rock the boat. In the wake of the alternative party, my support for Lewis went out the window. I'm glad. There were so many points for people to jump off of the Lewis boat this season. And I'm glad y'all took the ones that you saw and said overboard. The story arc was wrapped up a little bit too easily for me. Yeah, with the baby, yes, for sure. KK said that's exactly how I felt with the last few episodes. Ever since the therapist congratulated them about deciding to stay, I felt like Jax had been performing when it comes to their marriage. A word. And we're going to go ahead and get out of here and end it on that. Y'all, stop performing for these people, whoever they are, whether it's your lover, it's your mama, it's your daddy, it's your cousin, it's your sister, it's your friend. Stop performing for these people. Be your goddamn self, and we will all adjust. We love you. We'll see you in our next videos and or lives. Thank y'all so much for being here.
Good night.